the intersection where we were seeing a lot of that action just moments ago take place, where the tear gas was deployed. Is law enforcement moving back, or are they pushing towards law enforcement?
Hey, everybody.
They're not. So the group is pushing towards law enforcement. And I want to get a little bit, if you can see this. A few minutes ago, before the tear gas, you had the LAPD that was lined up on the right-hand side here.
As soon as it gets
Can you show them that, Gus?
Starts getting dark, starts getting to the evening.
I'll show you the booms, the bangs and the booms, because that's why people are tuning in right now.
This is going to turn into a
so you
riot.
can see the green there, the green smoke. That is the tear gas. That's the stuff that's going to sting your eyes, and it smells like you're inhaling like a gajillion peppers. That's what it smells like.
Always.
And that's what it tastes like, and nobody wants to be close to it.
The
yes, the yellowish green there is coming this way. And so as it starts to come this way, you'll see this group, and a lot of them aren't really being agitators.
They were having lemonade and
because they want
yada, yada, yada.
And they want to show it to you.
People were singing and dancing.
But here it comes. It's going to be
and she said that this is a different dynamic now. And look who showed up. And you can see the ones that are really say hi to Antifa, everyone. With the gas masks on. And we got our guy with the I'll tell you right now what needs to happen with Antifa. Having a blast right now. They have tried to shoot you catch one of them several times. Well, the cops catch one of them. Life in prison. Period. Life. You don't get let out. Because they're now starting to come in from 3 different directions. But again, you have the sheriff's department, you have the police. They are a domestic terrorist organization. If you go a little bit further down to where Zach was, and I don't care whose feelings I fucking hurt. But yeah, they're pushing them back, and then they move Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization. So is the dance that we do when we have a protest like this one. This is not the first time we have seen something like this in downtown Los Angeles, and I dare say it will not be the last. But it is something that unfortunately those gotta hate being right industry have gotten used to, as we've seen it time and time again, especially this week.
Certainly, Joy Bennett.
I was just watching a
just a couple steps away from
Pole Barn Garage video.
Live shot there. We'll let you gather yourself for a few minutes. Check back in a second. And Sky Cow on the right side of your screen as well.
Watching him and his boy work on a
down there, but it's important.
I think a 1973 Javelin. Well, a Javelin. I think it was a 73.
Really, tens of thousands going, over 20,000 people, mostly peacefully protesting, and now you see a much smaller number and a smaller group sort of agitating law enforcement to enough of a degree to have that dispersal order, that declaration of an unlawful assembly, and then maintaining our eye on this, because it is certainly visual. It is
Test 1 2
of what we are monitoring for you, but it is not the full picture of what's been going on today in particular.
Test 1 2
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna speak to the fact
the audio was working.
These streets earlier today, if you had monitored this downtown LA protest, they were packed with people. You could not make out a space of roadway earlier. So we are talking.
Yeah, because everybody there this morning was peacefully protesting.
Protest maybe ended around 3 p.m. But people, obviously, with that amount of people coming to downtown, there are going to be people that stick around. There are going to be people that linger. And this is definitely a much smaller group. But as Joy had mentioned, it took one gentleman, and I'm not going to say he started it all, but it was one gentleman that felt like was really facing off with law enforcement for so long.
And that push and pull between using the gas, smoke, rubber bullets, etc. We saw sheriff's deputies, we saw LAPD. You see the mountain.
Yes, because it takes one antagonizer.
Third there on your screen right now, but
to get everybody fired up.
At the desk.
One paid
right now.
antagonizer.
The radio traffic is coming in loud and clear down there. What you are seeing is elements of the LA County Sheriff's Department response team that is working in coordination with the LAPD. Those vehicles that you saw there just a moment ago with Sky Cow, those are pretty unique to see in the field. I spoke to LA County Sheriff's headquarters about them, because here at the desk, we all kind of scratched our head when we saw them. We were not familiar with those pickup trucks that we saw deputies in that tactical gear there at the bottom of your screen. So I just spoke to LA County Sheriff's. Those are vehicles that are used to transport deputies out of LA County Sheriff's jurisdiction to assist other law enforcement agencies like the LAPD when they're in unified command. You usually don't see them.
And of course, they're blocking traffic, blocking all the cars.
But in this particular case,
it never fucking fails.
They have them there in order to help deputies protect themselves as they move this skirmish line forward. Now, the second thing that we are...
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive sleep system. Intelligent, adaptive, effortless.
that it is not subject to just one group. They are using bullhorns down there to tell these protesters this is an unlawful assembly.
All right, here's something. Have you noticed the rise in stuff to help you sleep? Goes hand in hand with the rise of energy drinks.
Dismounted, they were able to get her into custody, and they took her back towards those vehicles. It didn't appear that she had any
Everybody
injuries.
loves them
Either,
horrible
but,
for you energy
making
drinks.
Contact with sheriff's deputies, horse
And then, I can't sleep at night.
It could be
When
considered
3 hours earlier they were down on a Monster or a Red Bull.
as well. You can see there she's walking away under her own power. So it's unclear what kind of charge she may be facing, but it is clearly stemming from the contact that she made with that sheriff's deputy, that mounted sheriff's deputy. Now, back on the left side of your screen, you continue to see live pictures from SkyCal.
She fucked around and found out.
Hall, that we continue to see protesters a little bit further back from that skirmish line, but that skirmish line continues to try and push protesters to the west. As I had mentioned before, there was that main group where Joy Benedict was doing her live reporting from. That was at Temple and Maine, I believe. That group broke up into two groups, one that went south, being monitored by the LAPD, and then this group here we see, which is a lot more violent, that is being dealt with by LA County Sheriff.
And the sun is still up. As soon as the sun goes down, it's going to get real violent.
Something
LA is going to burn tonight.
Speaking about not only for days as we have
because this wasn't shut down because the governor has no balls.
Near the federal building,
the mayor has no balls.
Many of these protests, that's where they have been centered. But we just heard from the mayor this morning. We heard from LAPD.
They're peacefully protesting.
I know I drove through 101 coming into work, and
they're not peacefully protesting. This is a riot.
Entire 101 entrance exit points through downtown completely blocked off. But this is something that they have been preparing for, and really throughout the day, we were hearing from Unified Command saying, we're not having any issues with protesters. I think their biggest issue was there's just so many people, we couldn't get to people that needed medical help if they needed it. But even then, we haven't heard of.
And whoever showed up to this
to the
riot in a convertible,
but
you're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're grade A, #1 certified first class. You're a dumbass.
And that protest has now ended officially.
And law enforcement reiterating, going back to this morning, and really for about a week now.
Oh, my neighbors are going to dinner.
Violence or anything of the matter right now. As you continue to take a live look at this. On that note, let's get to our Tom Wade, who's one of our crews out there in downtown. Tom, can you hear us? And can you tell us where you are, what you're seeing?
It's pretty intense right now.
Oh, what happened to the convertible?
Fired tear gas canisters. We're moving back up Temple right now. You can see that all on the screen right now. This all just very, very rapid developments right now. We're just standing here and everything seemed pretty.
Jesus
you
Christ.
could hear the action going on to our east, but
now they're honking, trying to get through. Instead of just turning the fuck around like a smart person. But I swear, 75% of the people that live in California are freaking idiots.
Everything just changed
Sheer
in a hot
idiot.
second. They are definitely trying to disperse this crowd, and people just went running, and some people were just walking quickly. They set those off, and that really just
I'm going to live somewhere where the gas prices is twice as high as every other state.
Temple, right next door to the courthouse,
where the cost of rent is 2 to 3 times higher than every state.
That was going on with Joy and Zach, but it was a distance away. It felt like, and then all of a sudden, the flashbangs went off. The pepper spray, tear gas, whatever you want to call it. That's when they deployed that, and everyone just kind of scattered. So now here we are, kind of back up the street. We're close to North Broadway right now. We're on Temple, right near between Spring and North Broadway, and they sort of cleared the scene, but now people seem to be kind of moved back. All right, we have a lot of intense emotions right now, right? A lot of emotions running high. I'm kind of waiting to see if I can. I haven't been able to. I haven't felt any of the pepper spray or the tear gas come up. Usually, there's a breeze, it wafts up, and I think the wind is blowing in the opposite direction. Thankfully for us, so yeah, it does feel like it's kind of blowing it away from us.
This is when the police need to use the breeze to their advantage. Go upwind and set off some tear gas, set off some pepper spray, and let it just waft through the crowd.
It seems like there's a much more calm atmosphere now. People are more methodically and kind of more relaxed walking out.
I don't have a bit of sympathy for anybody that's involved in this. I don't.
Very sudden.
They're all idiots.
Just surge of activity when the canisters were set off and the crowd dispersed. I see more police moving through the area. So
if our founding fathers saw what's going on in this country right now,
still, these are not.
They would be so angry at us.
Declared an unlawful assembly. So, yeah, I mean, right now it's just kind of a holding pattern. I think there's some people who have left, and you probably hear some chanting behind me. I haven't seen any confrontations directly between protesters and
if you're waving a foreign flag on U.S. soil, you need arrested and taken to that foreign country that you love so much that you're waving a flag and dropped off.
Yourself for a moment because we want to get to Zach Boeto, who is just south of City
Hall. Let's see how Mexico loves a bunch of American citizens.
We see the mask on, or what are you seeing right now?
Being dropped off there.
Hey, Gio, we're at City Hall East here, and you talked about those two groups that have split up to Main and Temple. That's one of those groups here. You can see the sheriff's deputies right here talking. These deputies were shooting pepper balls and tear gas into the crowd there. That's one group. And then here to the left is Main and First. This is that second group you talked about, just south of City Hall here as well. And we are in this little staging area right here where some of the media has gathered to be able to be in between. But there's tear gas in the air right now circling. That's why I have the mask on. That's why we have the goggles on.
To be there
you can see
right now.
The ralliers and the protesters.
This is going to pop off so bad.
As soon as they approach, deputies firing those pepper balls here to our right and pushing him back, Seems like they're trying to hold him right at this line, this south side entrance to Los Angeles City Hall here. And again, deputies then shooting at these.
What they need to do is
like they're trying to get from one group to the
be
other.
better at aiming those
going to this group here on Main
paintball gun shooting pepper ball.
But like we've been talking about over the last
because guys have a certain area that if it gets hit, it hurts real bad.
And it's been tear gas, it's been flashbangs. There goes another one, and it's been pepper balls to try to separate these groups that gathered here at the Los Angeles City Hall. So we're seeing a lot of protesters. They get pushed back and they come back.
But if you were to have
as we said all week,
right now,
last weekend, these protests,
she would probably be like, "This is a peaceful protest. I don't know why the police officers are doing this."
And as soon as they start to make their way back and deputies feel like they've crossed a line, that's when deputies will then fire those pepper balls and tear gas to again try to push them back. But we're seeing really hundreds of people here in this group off of Main and First here to our left. They've got the signs, they've got the flags, they've got all the PPE that you can think of, masks, goggles, and they're here to protest. But again, things turn from that peaceful protest earlier now to a much more action-packed protest and clash between law enforcement and protesters here outside of Los Angeles City Hall.
What
so
I
we're
said
continue to, of course, follow what's
in my
going
live
on
stream
here.
earlier.
We are in a safe zone here.
That this is going to turn
between
from a
the two
peaceful
groups,
protest into
but
a
we
fucking
are
riot.
seeing now two separate groups.
It popped
split
off a lot
up here
sooner than I
outside
thought it was
of
going to
LA
pop
City
off.
Hall, and deputies try to keep them back off of their skirmish lines while we continue. Of course, these protests that are all surrounded this No King's Day, and from last weekend was those ICE raid protests, and we're seeing a culmination of those two things now here in June, and it's become this pretty serious clash that we're seeing here in downtown LA, guys.
Zach, before we let you go here, LAPD had put out that some of the protesters were throwing things like objects at them. Are you seeing that currently happening right now?
Yeah, the protesters are throwing things back at deputies, and what's happening also is deputies are shooting tear gas into the crowd, and some protesters are quick enough and are wearing gloves, and they're grabbing the tear gas canisters and throwing them back at the deputies. So that's when you see a lot of those tear gas canisters right next to deputies. You're wondering how they can get so close. If they're the ones shooting them, protesters are picking them up and throwing them right back to where they're standing. Protesters also seeming to have glass bottles, which you're choosing to throw.
Not
And here
protesters,
comes more tear gas
rioters.
right here. We're seeing now also a large number of American flags that just popped up here in the area. We're seeing the American flags and the tear gas, quite a contrast right here.
Yeah, that large group looks to have.
Yeah, anybody can buy an American flag.
Here. We want to get to our mark.
I bet all the people that are waving American flags aren't pro-America.
Considered an unlawful assembly, and a dispersal
They want
it
to look like
been ordered.
Trump supporters. American first people are out there doing this.
Or law enforcement can use,
because I guarantee it's going to be all over the news.
The area. That's
these
correct,
cops, you know, there were Trump supporters down there. Look at all the American flags.
Declared here. This means that the First Amendment concept of protesting here at this time does not apply because of either issues of violence or, like you said, people doing things that could potentially harm property or lives. I want to go out to Joy Benedict, though, right now. She is down there still near Temple. And Joy, tell us what you're seeing down there.
I mean, it's a little chaotic. I think that's good. A lot of banging going on behind me, as expected in a protest like this.
But that's a hardcore chick. She didn't flinch one bit with those bangs going on.
They are refusing to disperse despite the call to do so. And so what you're seeing is a lot of flashbangs. They got some tear gas. We got a few of those rubber bullets going at individuals.
And the upside down flag.
As they are trying to get the crowd
that pisses me off so much.
Area. This is right in between the main City Hall building and the bridge that goes to the East City Hall building.
And I know what it means.
And hear that, obviously. We're kind of a little bit back behind the front line, but of course that doesn't mean you can't hear things that are going on as we try to maneuver around our own news van. Clearly, we did not pick the best place to park at 8:30 this morning. But nonetheless, everything is going on right there in the crosswalk. If you can see that up there, you can see a lot of the smoke there. And now it's white smoke right now. The tear gas is going to be the yellow or the green smoke. So that's what you want to look out for. And that's when you'll likely see us heading the opposite directions. But
they attacked us.
They are trying to push everybody back. That's what they're trying to do. Yes, it's definitely a difficult situation. Yes, it's been very peaceful.
All right, I'm going to go grab me some more coffee because I think I'm going to be live for a long time.
Oh, where were you when you guys were down at the federal building?
Right here on Spring, on Temple, all the way down in that center, right there.
Okay, and you got here early this morning?
Early this morning, it was super. It's been peaceful the entire time. They came in with the horses, no warning. Tear gas everybody, flashbang everybody, rubber bulleted everybody. That's what started all of this.
And I hear it started with the National Guard sort of in that direction, or who did you see first?
It was all LAPD. All LAPD.
On the left. Shot by this. We got shot this.
That's right.
One of the rubber bullets? Are you okay?
I'm okay, but we saw people get shot.
I saw a guy get hit right here, right in the groin.
It was all peaceful. None of us was violent.
Yeah.
They started this.
No, I've been here since 8:30. It was very peaceful. We do want to make that very clear. And we have a lot of video of that as well.
It was like a good vibe. Like,
it was a good vibe. There was a lot of music. It was kind of like a street party.
And when they decided to come in, they came in super, super hard and aggressive, and that's what's created all of this.
And you didn't get any sort of warning at all?
No warning. They just masked up.
How does this make you feel right now after you've spent all day here trying to express your opinion?
It's upsetting because how are people supposed to feel like their voices are being heard when they're being violently put down by the state itself? I mean, this is the whole point, right? It's like you can't give people parameters of protesting. It has to be uncomfortable for everybody. Nobody out here wants to be here.
Well, let me ask you before I go, what is it that you want? Why did you come out today?
I think everyone just wants an end of fascism in America right now, and you know, the end of the order that's been creating this since the 60s, since the 50s, since the 30s, right? I mean, every movement that we've ever gotten something out of has happened from this. So this is an important part of the American identity, and I think everyone here just wants to see an equal and free America.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion with us, and of course for being out here. And you're going to hear a lot of that passion from a lot of folks who are out here as we continue to watch everything literally explode right in front of the Los Angeles City Hall, guys. It's just been a very peaceful day that is certainly anything but
Yeah,
this particular
yeah,
hour.
exactly.
Yeah,
Always
of
law
course, your
enforcement and
safety,
never
but
the
safety as well is a
dumbasses.
priority. So, get yourself in a situation where you feel comfortable and safe. We'll check back in a little bit later on. I mean, you saw
I
the
have said it,
crowd there.
and I will keep saying it.
It's
And I'm
we've been
sorry
talking
to
about ebbs
any
and flows, even going back to last
patriot
week. And every time
that
you
lives
see
in that shitty ass
LAPD or
state.
sheriff's deputies, law enforcement push a group out,
But
it
you
almost
got to
seems
be
like
a
it's
dumb
then,
son of a
at least from the
bitch
ground perspective, even
to
more
live
people start
in
coming in once
California.
things start to settle down.
Period.
It escalates
I
again,
don't
and then
care if
coming
that
back down.
hurts your
Taking a live look from
feelings
SkyCal right
or
now, this is sort of a
anything.
remnant of one particular group
Knowing that
walking down the street. I want to bring
right
Mark Lewis
across
back
the
in
state
from the desk
line
there. Mark, what are we keeping an eye
over
on?
into
Well,
Arizona or up into
traffic from both the LA
Oregon
County Sheriffs and the LAPD
or
down there.
over
This has sort
into
of settled into a fairly
Nevada.
stable situation in terms of movement. Now, it's
The
certainly
price
unstable
you
in
pay
terms of
for
the violence
gas
that we're
and
seeing down
rent
there. We're seeing, of course, like tear
drops
gas
in
that
half.
we'd seen some people
In
throwing
half.
things. But in terms of the location, we've seen
Gas here in Mesa, Arizona, like
$3.45
$3.45 a gallon.
people. So I want to bring you out to my map on my screen.
I guarantee if I looked up gas prices in Los
I'm going to zoom in to the primary area where all of this is
$5.50,
happening.
$6
Now, the
a
landmark
gallon.
that I want you to focus on right here, this is City Hall. And what we are seeing is action primarily right here at the intersections of
I had a
Spring,
friend that
Maine, and
lived
Los Angeles.
up
Now,
in
Joy Benedict is reporting from right about
Palo
here.
Alto,
Zach Weddle
California.
right about
It's
here,
up in the
and
northern part of
Tom
the
Waite
state.
is over in this area.
Him and his
The
girlfriend were
primary
renting
concern
a
right here,
converted
and elements of LA
storage
County Sheriff
shed
are engaging with the protesters right there.
that was
first line that you
maybe
saw is
400
right
square
here.
feet.
The protesters are in this area.
A
There was also a
converted
group that I said
storage
earlier
shed.
had gone this direction and down towards Alameda.
This
The
was
LAPD was
probably
managing that. But there is also
7 or 8
action
years
where
ago.
Zach
They
is
were
right
paying
here,
$1,000 a
right
month
in front of LA City Hall
for a
as well.
converted
So again, this
storage
primary
shed.
location
They had no
right there
kitchen
is the
sink.
location
Their
of
kitchen
Temple and
sink was
Maine
one
is
of
where we are
those
seeing all of that action. The other thing that I
white
want to note here is I'm
Rubbermaid
off of my map.
tubs
The 101
that
is
you could
also
go
an
to
issue
Home
of
Depot and
concern. We're
buy
seeing
to
elements
put
of
in like
LAPD
your garage
monitor the
or your
areas
laundry room. That was their
here,
kitchen
and
sink.
here, because they
Their
don't
kitchen
want people going
countertop
on
with
the
a piece
freeway.
of
I want to
plywood
send
and
it
some
right back out now to
2x4s.
Zach Weddle, who is down there near
$1,000 a
City
month.
Hall. Zach, what can you tell us what's going on down
Me
there?
and my daughter looked at each other and we're like,
Guys, we are,
for $1,200 a month, we rent a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
coming our way. We had some protesters.
And their excuse was, well, it's not in
Protesters
California.
who were here at
I'm
Temple
like,
in
yeah,
Maine
exactly.
started to
It's
come
not
at
in
us
California.
and behind deputies who were shooting projectiles over at this group here on Main and First.
That's their whole thing.
And,
That's their whole
so then they
identity.
decided to
Arizona
really
had
start
to
to try
pass
to
a
clear
law
everybody from this group
that when you
from
move here,
Temple and Main
you
back,
got 30 days
that
to
direction,
change
which is north. Some of
your
these sheriff
registration
deputies
on
here,
your
you
car
can see
to
from our vantage point,
Arizona.
right over the
My
shoulders
neighbors
of the
haven't got
sheriff's
theirs
deputies
changed.
and protesters.
They still
trying
got
to egg them on
Colorado
and get them to do
tags.
stuff. You can see the
But I've
protesters
seen
with
people
umbrellas. They're
bitching on
using
social
those
media
umbrellas as
that
basically
moved here from
shields,
California
to try
that
to
now they
block
have to get rid of
the
their
tear gas
precious
canisters or
last
those
clue
pepper bullets
to
that are being shot out.
identifying
But
as
now
a
you can also
California.
see the
Their
two groups
license
kind of
plate.
starting to go back and forth. People are able to go back and forth almost as they please. When they started to go in larger
stupid.
numbers, that's when deputies start to shoot those tear gas canisters. Now, looking back over here at Temple and Maine, we're seeing a lot of protesters start to approach the intersection here. Usually, right around this type of crowd here is when we start to see the tear gas and the pepper bullets and the flashbangs to try to disperse who's gathering.
And that one guy that said,
that you can see over here, on the right.
we've
We
been
got
dealing
deputies
with
on
this.
top of these sheriff vehicles.
We've
that
been
have,
dealing with this
the bars
since the
that are-
50s,
that are
since the
on top of
40s,
them,
since the 30s.
using those as,
You know, we just want to end to fascism.
visual at the
People,
protesters.
that man right there that said that was a
But
communist.
again, as we see the protesters
Was a
pull around into this
communist.
intersection of Main and Temple, this is what it starts to look like right before law enforcement will start to shoot off whether it's tear gas or flashbangs to try to get these groups to disperse. And now let's look back over at the other group over here on our left. Again, starting to crowd
You know,
up. You
those
see
are
there's a lot
people
of
that
media up front, up close,
think
trying to get
socialism
photos
is the
of
best
those
thing ever
protesters who are on the front lines, who have
because they
basically
can't
taken those,
comprehend that people make more money than they do.
And basically,
They just can't comprehend that, oh, a person that went to school, whether it be to college or nursing school or a trade school, are making more than a person that has a GED. That people shouldn't drive super nice new cars when they have to take the bus. Well, me and my wife drive a newer, really nice car because my wife works her ass off to make the payment. My daughter drives a brand new Kia. Her and her boyfriend worked her ass off to make the payment.
You mentioned earlier that it was very peaceful.
You can't live on social media in your mama's basement, get DoorDash all the time, and go to Starbucks all the time, and be able to afford how to live.
Is with media. Maybe he's got a mask. He's squinting his eyes. He took some serious tear gas. It's surprising to see this many people still sticking around.
I don't even understand people that buy packs of cigarettes. Because if you think about it, 30 days in a month, even if I buy a pack of cigarettes at the smoke shop, it's $5 a pack. That's $150 a month.
And you can see on the ground in this area the debris
and
that's left behind. Right here, I have what looks like less than lethal ammunition that deputies are using.
Smoking the cheapest ones you can buy.
It's like a spongy.
So figure you're buying name brand cigarettes.
So guys, we're going to send it back to you in the studio again.
That's $10 a day. That's $300 a month.
Let you go as we take a live look from SkyCal on the right side of your screen. You see those sheriff's deputies.
So bigger.
Establishing that skirmish line. I know you mentioned
you're spending. Well, let's just say it's $250 a month for your cigarettes. $250. And then you go to Starbucks. And you're spending another $150 a month at Starbucks. Because you got to go to Starbucks every single day, sometimes twice a day.
People gathering down there are acting from your vantage point.
That's $400 a month. And you got to go out on Friday and Saturday night because it's boring to stay home. And you spend $100 on Friday night, $100 on Saturday night. Now you've just spent $1,200. You wasted $1,200. Yes, people, I am very, very good at math. And that's after surviving 2 strokes.
Move away from this intersection of Temple and Main, and so it might be the threat of being arrested, which is finally getting people.
Well, Milo, they've been shooting up tear gas, flashbangs, rubber bullets. They have declared this protest an unlawful assembly, which means that your ass needs to go home. And there's also a curfew at 8 p.m.
That's when LAPD and law enforcement can use less than lethal, can use the tear gas because
there was a female reporter right when I started that said that the crowd that's there now is totally different than the crowd that was there all day. The crowd that was there all day was totally peaceful. The crowd that's there now are violent.
Army of officers jumped out, and they are now swarming the streets here in this area. They went down kind of close to the area of City Hall, and they are just, sort of.
And of course, dumbass is sitting there in their freaking car.
I see smoke. I don't know if that's just smoke or, sometimes that's a device they use just to clear the area, or if that's actually pepper spray.
My God, look at that guy's fucking camera.
A bunch of officers with zip ties and less lethal weapons jump out of the
exactly.
And just
like I said earlier, you couldn't pay me to be down there doing videos on this. Ain't no way.
What's the operation here? What are they what are they doing? You know, so.
And if anybody wants to know what
Unlawful assembly they are,
pepper spray feels like in your face, go into your kitchen, get into your junk drawer, grab a Taco Bell sauce pack out. I know everybody's got them, and squirt it in your fucking eye. That's what it's gonna feel like.
Basically didn't run away.
I know.
Mask over his face, and he just like walked off. And officers just kind of kept their focus on what their apparent mission is right now, which is to clear this area around City Hall and around, down toward the.
What in the? Look at that dumbass. Oh, I'm gonna raise my wheelchair up. Yeah. God, dumbasses. Dumbasses.
Yeah, here they're coming. It's like a convoy here. I think some people are starting to get the message that have been lingering there, trying to move their cars. But man, they are coming fast and furious right now. Here's another round. Here they come. And this guy's gonna get knocked if he doesn't be careful. But yeah, they're absolutely in a pretty organized operation mode here. You can tell that they had personnel and people ready to go on the ground, and they're moving quickly. They're swarming the area.
Yeah, Tom,
Oh my God.
If you can, I want to be able to put up SkyCal just a brief moment as we keep talking to Tom.
And
There was someone
that flag, that's half American flag, half Mexican flag, that is a fucking disgrace.
I believe he was at kind of the skirmish line where police were for quite some time, and he might have gotten in his own vehicle there and is now leaving the area. But yeah, he was in a wheelchair, and it looked like he was a part of the protest, now leaving that area.
It was an interesting sight, to say the least. But Tom, I think it's worth going back to your point there about seeing that convoy of vans, of officers, of law enforcement making their way.
Hell, we had protesters all over the Phoenix Valley all day long.
As we start approaching the evening hours, as we've seen in the last week or so, is that once the numbers game starts to tilt toward law enforcement, that's when we start seeing the ramp up of really pushing crowds out once law enforcement feels like they have an upper hand in terms of more of us versus more protesters. And then we start
Law enforcement always has the upper hand.
I'm curious if you see a significantly larger.
It's called stop using the fake rubber bullets and start throwing lead. You want to get the protesters to leave? Do a few headshots. Splatter some brains. The protesters will fucking leave.
Personnel looks like, or at least, I mean, there could be several different angles that they're coming at this from. In fact, there are. I can see more officers down in the distance. That angle you're looking at right now is more toward the City Hall area, which the shot you're
because this is all over our current president and what he's doing. But you see, everybody, they forget that Obama, when he was president for 2 terms, deported over 3 million illegals. I have shared that little clip of Obama saying that if you're in the country illegally, we're going to find you and get you out. They have said that that's AI, that that's fake, that Obama, because he was a Democrat, would never do that.
They're here to just be agitators and not really here to protest. And that's what we've seen in a number of times.
And to anybody that was dumb enough to think that, oh, all these illegals coming in that are 99.9% male of fighting age just want a better life. No, the Democrats, with the help of whoever, we're building an army here in the U.S. under the guise of immigration.
One other note here, and we've said this over the course of our coverage, but it's interesting coming into downtown.
I mean, because if you think about it,
besides this,
what other group of people can march for miles and miles and miles? Military. You ain't going to take a normal Joe Schmo off the street like me or anybody in the comment section or anybody watching and have us march for miles and miles every single day. It ain't going to happen. The military does it because they're trained to do it. I've seen people firsthand crossing the border and their shoes were cleaner than mine.
Show of force as they have
I've been at the border with my Patriot group for like an hour.
I was just reading from LAPD that
My
they
shoes were
have-
covered
they're
in
saying that some people may
in
be
the
throwing
dust that
or
makes up the
fireworks
desert.
at officers,
And these people
or
crossing,
bottles at officers. Are you
their
seeing
shoes were
any of that
perfectly
from your
clean.
vantage point?
That's not possible.
Standing here about 5 minutes ago, there was a man in a mask who threw a rock at a police cruiser. The officer driving it did not even react. He got
Lemonade Renters Insurance protects you from life's coulda, shoulda, wouldas. I could have hired a plumber. Should have locked the windows.
where a lot of these protesters are still in a crowd. That's the only one I've seen over the course of the past 2 days.
Yeah, Milo, I could probably do 2 miles if it wasn't super hot.
When this all began a week ago Friday.
But I ain't gonna be in no shape to do anything after the 2 miles. I was shocked. A couple years ago, my daughter's the company that my daughter was working for had their Christmas party at the Phoenix Zoo. I went there and I filmed a whole bunch of video. Probably 40 or 50 gigabyte of video. Like I filled my phone up and her phone. And I walked all over the place. I was shocked that I did that. She was shocked too. But man, the next morning when I went to get out of bed, my fucking legs were like, bro, you're stupid. We're not. I know you got to pee, but you might as well pee on the fucking floor.
I don't know if one of our other cameras has a better shot of that, but it looks like there's a huge
nothing like a grown man having to crawl to the bathroom.
Bunch of police officers down there, and I just heard other bangs.
Because my legs were just jello. They were done.
But yeah, this block right here is a pretty good vantage point, but it's also much more quiet up here. There's obviously people honking their horns and that, but quiet in terms of there's no real confrontation here. It looks like police are focusing a lot of that down now. They move people out, and they're sort of more to the east of where we are. Like I said, we're on Temple right now, just to the east of North Broadway.
Tom Wade,
yeah, my daughter was going to rent me a scooter at the Phoenix Zoo. You can rent out little mobility scooters.
It feels like that entire intersection, right, is
till she found out the price.
What is pretty surprising is how many
$50.
Yeah,
to rent one of the scooters.
Stay away. Well, they're saying stay away.
And you have to leave a $50 deposit just in case the scooter gets damaged.
Exactly. It goes back to your point and Tom's point as well about the fact that you could be a couple blocks away and not even know.
And she was like, well, Dad, I can do it. I'm like, if you do it, I'm going to shove my foot up your ass. You're going to have a crock sticking out your mouth.
City Hall, because from Tom's perspective, Zach, we were seeing a lot of officers. From your perspective earlier, it was a lot of protesters, but now it looks like there might be a movement of officers behind you. Describe the scene for us.
Well, Gio, lots of Los Angeles Metro Police now moving down Main Street toward First. You can see them right
at least this reporter
City Hall. They are moving
seems a lot smarter than a lot of them I've seen.
Main Street, going west.
He's got his head on a freaking swivel.
Officers with
a lot of these people that when there's a camera in front of them,
their horses,
focus straight on the camera
Metro police
instead of keeping their head on a swivel.
Main Street between Temple and First. It sounds like over on Spring Street there are more flashbangs going off, but if you can step this way on top of the right here, step to your right. Talking to Assad, our photographer here, you can see that officers are pushing toward protesters. They're
look at that camera.
They're really trying to get them off of Main here.
Why?
Back towards First Street. But this street over the last 15 minutes was pretty much taken over by protesters. Now
that's so stupid.
Police pushing back, looking like they're pushing them all the way back to First.
I was told by a reporter for Fox 10 Phoenix that they had those big cameras for the better video quality. And I'm like, really? Because I'm not seeing any different video quality than what I can shoot on my cell phone.
The LAPD, they're on the ground. As you can see, officers pretty much just sweep this entire area that
Oh, it's a big puppy.
Earlier when we spoke to Zach, it was a lot of protesters, and now you can see LAPD's mounted unit is out there. They have that show of force of officers, and they're quickly pushing this crowd back.
You know, that's one of the things that I really like about this apartment complex. They don't have any breed restrictions.
Who were there, and they were saying that they started this. They were blaming law enforcement, that they got no warning. I mean,
Like my neighbor's got two blue healers. The guy that was just walking past, when I said puppy, he's got a Rottweiler. So many apartment complexes are like, yeah, we only need breeds like 20 pounds because they're not as dangerous as the big breeds.
We just had a little bit of a crunch moment.
Obviously, the people running that apartment complex had never been bit by a Chihuahua.
There in the blue that's moving out, and if we open up the van, you'll see that now the horses and all of the command is actually over here behind us. Sorry, we're obviously moving and live on TV at the same time. So you see now the horses are on the other side of us, and we were rolling as they kind of surrounded our car and kept going that way as they're trying to push the crowd. Now that is towards the Los Angeles Police Department. So they have now moved them from the federal building past Temple, down Main further as they're heading over there to First Street. As they're
keep on marching them.
And specifically the agitators sort of corralled into an area, or quite frankly, pushed out of downtown altogether. But knowing what I do about downtown, they're not going to want to push them further too far in that direction, because then they're going to hit a business district. And they, of course, don't want to send the agitators into the restaurant corridor and things of that nature. So I can bet that they're going to try and contain them.
No, what you do is
they have been asked to do.
It's a city. There's city buses.
About an hour and a half now that we've been seeing this sort of
start blocking off the streets with city buses.
Law enforcement and the rebel rousers, so to speak.
March them, you know, get them all in a tight little group, and then go in there and start arresting them. Unlawful assembly.
And very powerful protest. I think it's also important to mention, because a lot of people keep thinking
because
all over LA.
When you fill out a job application, you have to put down if you've ever been arrested.
Dealing with the federal building and City Hall, and unfortunately, some of that has spilled into Little Tokyo.
And I don't know how most jobs are, but I know if I was the boss and I saw that somebody was arrested for unlawful assembly, I'm not hiring them. Because that means that they can't follow rules. I mean, hell, back when I used to manage a bar, so many bartenders there that thought that they didn't have to do what I said. And they ended up getting escorted out the fucking door. Because they thought that this was a device pretending bar, their cell phone. Or some of them, they would find a really good looking guy and concentrate on the good looking guy instead of serving everybody else.
Joy made a good point here. They are moving this crowd west. If you keep going that way past First Street, you are going to hit
Hey, Mario.
a busy business district with a lot of restaurants, a lot of shops. Do we think LAPD is staged on?
No, I saw a couple clips of it.
Are already concerned about groups to the south and to the west on 2nd Street, on Broadway, south of Grand Park. This is a concern. Now, what we're looking at here is the western side.
I'm sure there's plenty of video online about it.
Of City Hall. See that bridge that connects the main
I had to decompress earlier. I was live for 2 hours and I was getting so angry.
There in that area, and that's where we have seen a large number of.
So I watched a car video.
To the south, that was a troublesome group for LAPD, and you can see
a great channel called Pole Barn Garage.
Where there are groups that are running through here.
Look at them running like roaches when you turn the fucking lights on. Run, motherfuckers, run!
to the western side. That's close to where Tom Waite was. And we saw that large group between City Hall and Grand Park. They appear to be much more peaceful than this group here.
Ooh, I'm a protester. I know my rights. And they're running like, somebody lives in a ghetto turning a fucking lights on and the roaches scatter.
For LAPD as they continue to move to the south.
I don't understand people that have roaches. I don't. Clean your fucking house.
They are hoping that as this group continues to move south, they'll get further and further away.
Keep all your food in sealed containers. I don't have roaches. My daughter doesn't have roaches.
And we have seen historically as protesters move further and further.
But I bet family members that have had roaches bad enough that the roaches wave when you walk in the door. Like, hey, how you doing?
These large groupings sort of move away and disperse. Now, this group here to the western side of City Hall has essentially been here since about 9:45 this morning. And what we are seeing here, Gio and Leslie, is perhaps the beginnings of almost the exact same thing we saw, I believe.
These protests have to fucking stop.
Tuesday, where protesters
but are they? No. Because they're funded. I've seen so many Craigslist ads for protesters.
On Spring Street and barricaded the LAPD.
And of course, all the leftists say, no, they're a fake.
An identical skirmish line with
a TikToker emailed one of them. And he was told to give them their Cash App and show up and go live on TikTok, and they would get paid.
Here at the desk, I'm going to keep listening to the radio traffic. I'm going to come right back to you in just a second.
Mark, thank you.
To basically prove that they're down there.
Those barriers down.
And luckily, we're not seeing any of those pink benches. Not sure if they're still even at the Gloria Valina Grand Park anymore, but you are seeing.
The hell is he? What the hell are these idiots doing?
Take, these metal gates.
We got a barricade
behind them. And that's the situation that once that dispersal order is called.
Because look, the cops just left that shit right there. Instead of getting rid of it, they left those barricades there.
It is moving almost like a burst. They were coming right on through. Yep.
Yeah, it looked like some of those officers, they take the lead. They start to clear the intersection.
Oh yeah.
They are just running towards.
Well, even the Walmart heiress
to clear the next
was the one that
and even this group right
paid for the gas mask and stuff.
Distance between protesters and that row of law enforcement.
And of course,
want to get back out to Zach Boetto right now?
The CEO of Walmart was like, "We don't condone anything she fucking does."
Last we checked, we saw officers.
She's just like,
and get the crowd out.
She's some family to Sam Walton. She's the heiress.
Hey guys, we're on Temple.
She isn't who's running Walmart. But what was funny, everybody's like, "I'm gonna boycott Walmart," and I'm like, "Okay, where are you gonna go shopping? Where? Oh, I'm gonna go to Target." Well, I thought we were boycotting Target over all the Pride stuff. So where else are you gonna go shopping?
We didn't see a lot of police officers until about 10:15.
Well, I can get groceries at Price or Kroger. Walmart sells more than just groceries.
Right here, you can see those LA County Sheriff's deputies now have jumped on these sheriff pickup trucks, and they have also rolled up Temple Street, which is now completely.
Hey Ray, if you're still watching,
all the way down past Main
your truck needs a rack like a that on it.
On Temple, we now have a bunch of law enforcement who are coming up and then trying to push protesters west down Spring Street, which is right in front.
I just love it how people are like, "You shop at Walmart?" Yes, of course I shop at Walmart. If there was a cheaper place than Walmart, I would go there. Well, you're just buying Chinese stuff.
Where we're pointing in this direction.
And I'm all like, "Yeah, and guess where your cell phone's made?"
You can see protesters pushing the line.
China.
Trying to get as close to.
Guess where your TV's made?
As they can.
China.
If we go back to the right,
basically, it's a TCL.
law
Made in
enforcement
China.
officers here at the corner of Temple and Spring, looking like they're going to make another push.
Most people that wear
Spring to try to get
MAGA gear, whether it be a hat or a shirt or something, made in China.
You can see the sheriff's deputy vehicles.
Why? Because they don't want to pay
And coming behind
American-made prices. And I'm still going to keep saying that.
And help them push from behind. Again,
And then they're all like, well, it's because the American worker doesn't get paid enough. All right, we'll say that there's a company, American company, and they're making, say, an oil filter, and they pay their workers $10 an hour, and then they charge $5 per oil filter.
Possibly saying it's an unlawful assembly there that you have to.
Well, say their workers demand $20 an hour.
Over in Westwood.
The cost of that oil filter is going to go up. Probably do $10 per oil filter. It's basic economics. And then they always say, well, the people running the companies need to take the hit. Even Trump said that to Walmart when Walmart started raising their prices because of the stupid tariffs. It's like, no, fuck you. It's my company. I'm going to charge whatever the fuck I want, and if I got to pay more for it, I'm passing the buck on to the customer. I did it in my bar. Some product that I sold there, the price went up. So the price on that product went up.
The line switch. It looks like LAPD,
basic economics.
And the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is now.
But so many people want
to form its own skirmish line here at
the owners, the CEOs of companies, to take the hit, and that will never happen. They're the owner, they're the CEO, they're the founder because they put in the time and work to build their company. A lot of late nights worrying about making ends meet.
Sweeps that were taking place with the Department of Homeland Security, but they said they will protect the city if these protests turn violent.
That's basic socialism. They want everybody to get paid the same, all the prices to be the same, everything to be the same. So some girl that just barely got out of high school, she has a GED, wants to start working as a nurse and make what my wife and my daughter make, that went to school to be nurses.
Really beef up their operations in just the last.
Because it's not fair if they don't make the same money.
Really highlight all of that as
well, you didn't put in the fucking effort.
Being declared in that area.
Oh, it's unfair that, you know,
the situation here.
People have new cars. Well, you don't put in the effort to be able to afford the payment on a new car. I don't know exactly what the payment is on our car,
not just in Southern California,
but I bet
obviously majority of those protests
between the payment and the insurance,
we saw a lot of large crowds.
It's probably like $800 a month.
Including downtown LA, and now things have
because
a bit of a turn as we
the insurance is really high.
With LAPD,
why?
LA County Sheriff's,
for the simple fact, here in the Phoenix area,
crowds of people near City Hall after
the chances of you seeing a $250,000 car are a whole lot higher than if you lived in Missouri or Oklahoma. And I asked my insurance guy, I'm like, say I'm doing something stupid and I crash into a brand new Lamborghini Aventador, a $400,000 car. Are you guys going to cover that car? He flat out said, not at your current rate. So I'm like, all right. Then how much more do I need to pay a month to make sure that I ain't got to worry about that? Or I ain't got to worry about if I crash into a minivan and it's full of kids, and I send all of them to the hospital. Could you imagine what that bill would be? Not only did you total the minivan, you sent 5 kids and a couple adults to the emergency room. That bill would be over $1 million in a couple days. I want to make sure that I am covered. Like normal renter's insurance. We could have got renter's insurance here on our apartment. The very bottom plan was $5,000. $5,000. I have more money than that in this room. Just in this room. Not counting everything else here. So we have $30,000 worth of renter's insurance. Because also renter's insurance also covers getting you into another place to live.
She really seemingly she's crying and pleading with
I see all these insurance things online. Oh, you can get this car insurance for $25 a month. You're paying for a fucking paper that if you get pulled over, you can hand the officer. Say, yes, see, officer, I've got insurance. See, it says it on the paper. There's my name. There's my car. I got insurance, but have to use it. And the reason I'm anal about insurance is I got in a wreck once. Years ago, it was my fault. I bent the door on this car. Didn't touch the fender, didn't touch the back door. I bent the door.
Assembly has been declared, and they are trying to get people to disperse from outside of the Los Angeles.
My insurance charged $5,000 for a fucking door for a car 20 years ago.
Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies working in unison to get
because they need to get a new door and it needs to get painted. It was a door off of a 4-door Buick Century that was silver. I could have went to Pick and Pull and got one for like $100.
Swift movement in that regard.
Paid some schmuck at a body shop another $100 to put the fucking door on.
Because Tom, earlier when we last checked in with you, we saw that heavy confluence of officers. Is there still a large presence around you, or what are you seeing?
Yeah, Mario. My neighbor's truck, and I'm sure you guys have all seen video of it. That big 4-door 4-wheel drive F-250. That's a Platinum King Ranch. That's a $125,000 truck. $125,000.
Now those are fireworks. I think that might be from the crowd. We saw a lot of that last week.
People always make fun when they come over of his humongous bumpers on it. Like, he lives in the city. Why does he need that great big bumper? And I'm like, here, his truck's a 2023. Look up on your phone what a headlight costs for a 2023 F-250. It's like $2,000 for a headlight. How many times have you broken a headlight and not damaged the grill, the hood, the fender, or the crappy factory bumper? So say you hit something in your brand new truck. You're going to do tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage. That's not going to happen to him because he has that humongous ranch hand bumper. He's going to damage something else because that bumper is fucking solid.
I don't think those are, I believe, are fireworks. And
the headlight for my Toyota, my little bitty Toyota CHR, it's $400. $400.
What we're seeing, because we're seeing it from SkyCal, is law enforcement using maybe those less than lethals.
And I know people are like, there's no way. It's because modern cars with modern headlights have all the LED stuff in there, like the daytime running lights and the turn signal and the projector lens like my car does.
And that's
It's not a headlight
back to earlier today,
for your
the past week or so is something law enforcement has repeated
your old Camaro
consistently that's
or your old
not
Chevy
tolerate.
Malibu.
Hence why you see the actions that they're taking in order to disperse these crowds. And Tom, even from our
The
vantage
brake
point from
pads on my
Skyview,
car
right there
at
near the
Toyota,
park, you see people just
which
kind
when
of
I go to do the brake
scattering
pads on
all
it,
over.
here
And as
probably
we get
another
closer and closer
15,000
to
miles.
this curfew at 8 o'clock, this is really
Well,
sort
when my
of
car
where it
reaches
starts to,
100,000 miles,
I guess for lack of a
which
better
will
word, tighten
be,
up, where you have law enforcement doing their
see, I'm
jobs
probably at
less and less
93,000
is
now.
allowed, and at the
So
same
when I
time,
reach
these folks
100,000
are
miles,
scattering
I'm
all over
doing
the place. Again,
rotors
this
and
very
pads.
concentrated area right around downtown.
Just the front brake pads at Toyota are $300.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was less of a
Why
question,
am
more
I
of an
putting
observation,
Toyota parts
and
back on
kudos
it?
to you because you're able to see things at least
Because I'm
from a different
still
perspective.
at almost 100,000 miles
Right. So yeah,
running the
I'm just
factory
sort of
brakes.
focused too on what's going on here. I'm just. It's
So
very
why would I go
interesting to,
spend
okay, wait, Anna, that's all happening
$50,
right there.
$60 to go to
Sorry.
AutoZone
Sorry.
or
Yeah.
O'Reilly
So we're just
or
on the other side
somewhere
where Zach
and buy
is,
some
and
shitty fucking
from this angle, it
brake
just
pads?
feels like they're moving
When
more
the
and more
factory
quickly,
ones
barriers up, and again, a very methodical
with the car almost at
tactic used
100,000 miles.
times. And right now, I don't know, some of these barriers
The shocks, the struts, the belts on the engine.
are now taking
We
these
haven't
cars and
touched
moving them into
that car
the middle of
mechanically
Galena Plaza
for
here. So I don't
anything.
know what police
We've
will do
had two
now, but
headlight bulbs
you
put
can see
in.
there are
Headlight
many,
bulbs
many
burn out.
officers and deputies in this area, and they continue to add more
I've
and more
changed the
numbers. They're just flooding the zone, and they'll
engine
continue to,
air
as I
filter
think, Gio, you were talking about, maybe
every
fasten it
6
up
months, whether
as
it
we
needs
push
it
toward
or not,
the curfew hour.
because the dirty air filter
Enough
cuts
people
down your
here
gas
that are just kind
mileage.
of like
And
lingering
I
and
just
just
changed the
watching,
cabin
but
air
then
filter.
you see the
That's
actions
it.
taken with
That's it.
flashbangs.
The only time I open the
other
hood
devices they're using,
is to
whether
put
it's
windshield
smoke
washer
or,
fluid in.
pepper spray,
That's
tear
it.
gas, and then of course that tends to disperse the crowd even further. Now, again, we're seeing these barriers being moved around. I don't
And then
know
people wonder why
if
I
that's going to provoke
only
a law enforcement response.
buy Toyotas.
It certainly isn't going to stop
Only
these barriers are
my 2014 Toyota Tacoma.
are pretty easy to move.
My wife
But,
drove that truck
what
by
will scare
herself
people here is everyone's kind of
from
standing
here
around,
to
and what
Ohio
happen is
and
police
Ohio
will
back.
barrel in at lightning speed, and it
I
will
didn't
scare a lot
worry
of people, and people will run, and
whatsoever
that's how this always
that the
plays out.
truck
People are
or the
standing there
tires
told
would
to
make
leave,
it.
they're not, and then what will happen is police will
I spent
storm in, and
a
people,
pretty penny putting
provoke
Michelin truck tires on it.
usually a pretty intense surge from the
Michelin
crowd.
tires are the
But
best
the numbers
high
of people
mile
here
truck
much
tire.
fewer than there were
We didn't
just a
have to
short time
fix
ago, and
anything on
these
that truck.
tactics
We bought it
these
at
groups
40,000 miles,
they seem to be
traded in at
working
110,000.
Yeah, they have been very
Didn't have to
effective.
fix anything.
Thank you so
Nothing.
much. And of course, you have to remember, even though we're 2 hours from curfew, it is that unlawful assembly that was or has been ordered in different parts of the Civic Center of downtown LA. Mark called them pretty much like rolling dispersal.
That's why I always
orders.
laugh when
Wherever law
people are
enforcement
like,
is going, they pretty much are
"You're
telling
not
the
a
crowd, "Hey, we're
patriot
sitting
if
in
you
front of
don't
us.
buy an
This is
American
an
made
unlawful
car."
assembly. This is a dispersal order.
Well,
We
I
need you
challenge
to
anybody.
leave less than
Show me an
legal
American made car
tactics
made in the
if
last
you
5
have
years
here.
Yeah, that's right. And so what we're seeing
that
here is, as you mentioned, that rolling
won't be in the
dispersal order,
shop
because this is where the First Amendment
with
expression
100,000 miles on it.
freedom of speech expression comes to an end after an assembly has been declared
I see
unlawful.
videos
For
all over the
several
internet
different reasons.
of these
Usually the two
transmission
primary
shops
reasons are there's some kind of
with
physical
brand new
damage related
Chevy
to population.
Silverados in
Those
there
are the two
getting the
primary reasons
transmission
why any
fixed.
law enforcement
There was a
agency
video
in Southern
online
California would have reason to declare
of a
an
guy that
unlawful assembly. The other times that we have seen
had like
unlawful
less than
assemblies declared
4,000 miles
is
on
when
his
groups of
Chevy
protesters
Silverado.
enter extremely
Brand new
dangerous
fucking
areas,
truck.
like, say, for instance,
And the
the
engine was
150,
knocking.
the 101, or the 110.
He hadn't even made the
The
first
train
payment
tracks
yet,
also
and the engine
are an
was
issue.
knocking.
Another issue is the possibility of protesters entering
You want to know why the engine
buildings
was
or
knocking?
very important buildings such as like the airport.
It was out of
If you
oil.
ever saw protesters going into the airport, like LAX or
You know how
Burbank
pissed
Airport,
off
that
I'd
would
be
usually be declared an unlawful assembly.
if,
Because of the civic disruption there happening,
you
it would
know,
just be too
Toyota
extreme.
told me,
And of course,
well,
entering
it's your
places like City
responsibility
Hall
because you
or
didn't
entering places like
check the
federal
oil.
property, that
It's a
would be an
fucking brand new
automatic
vehicle.
unlawful
You shouldn't
assembly
have to check
as
the
well.
oil.
Now, if you come out to my screen, I'm going to give you sort of a tactical idea of where this is happening. What we're seeing here is downtown LA. First, I'll zoom out. This will give you a bird's eye view. Let's go right in here to City Hall, where we have seen most of the action earlier took place here along Temple Street. This is where we saw LA County Sheriff's deputies deploy tear gas here and here. Now, since then, we have seen the protesters
I've told people
both sides
for years.
The one on the east side made it all the way.
You want to know what vehicles not to buy? Go to a mechanic shop and see what's sitting in their parking lot. If there's more than one of any car or truck in there, don't buy that one.
Protesters that they are mostly concerned with, because this group is very large, and it's unclear right now which direction they hope these protesters ultimately will go in. If they head in this direction, they're going to head towards the financial district. If they head in this direction, they're going to head towards the commercial district. But it appears LAPD and LA County sheriffs are hoping that they do go to the south. Why? There are less government buildings in that direction. Most of the government buildings are here in the northeast part of downtown LA, and they are particularly concerned about issues regarding the National Guard and anything else that is happening in the northeast corner. Of course, we also have this issue.
Yeah, I've had people come up to me and like, how can you have the word Patriot on your car when you're driving a Toyota? And I'm all like, seriously, bro?
So right now, what we're seeing here in the lower left.
Well, you know what Japan did to Pearl Harbor?
From that sheriff's response.
Yes, that was
assisting LAPD.
What, 75 years ago?
This kind of action that we are probably going to see for the next 30 or 40 minutes. These skirmish lines, flashbangs, and tear gas as protesters refuse to disperse. There are continuous announcements over loudspeakers that say this is an unlawful assembly. You must leave the area.
And what year did Pearl Harbor happen?
Provide exit routes for these protesters to leave. Very likely that is to the south, possibly to the west. But going north into the east, back towards City Hall, is not going to be an option for anyone who wants to leave this afternoon.
And
2025 minus 1941.
They are pushing forward.
Pearl Harbor was 84 years ago.
That do remain,
and there's still people all butthurt about it.
Those less than lethals right there. And I'm sure some of those flashbangs as well we're seeing shot into the sky there.
Right. And, we do want to get out to our Joy Benedict at some point here in the next few seconds, where I think it's important to note as we throw to Joy that, she's been down there since 8.
My neighbors had to work on his
repeated notes
2023 F-250
this has not been
a
the
few
scene all
times.
day, that it's been mostly peaceful protests up until things started to take this turn. But Joy,
He asked me one day, he goes,
here, right,
so have you ever had to work on your car?
Absolutely.
And I'm like, no. And he's like, never? I'm like, no, the car's got almost 100,000 miles on it. It's never had a wrench turned on it, except for, when oil gets changed, or, we get tires put on it. Hell, we're still driving around with the same bent upper control arm from my wife's accident.
And so we did see a few people now heading this direction, but this particular corner has already been cleared. If you look around, you see that they have quite a presence in front of the Los Angeles Police Department. It's been there all day. The street has also been blocked off for most of the day.
Does anybody know what that blue and white flag is?
Even the peaceful ones earlier today coming in this direction. But as we talk about what a really pleasant day it was for peaceful protesting, I want to toss to the story that we put together earlier today to just show you the crowd that really made this day something to remember.
What country has a blue and white flag?
It was an incredible show of solidarity.
That's the flag right there.
Tens of thousands of people descended on downtown, marching from the steps of City Hall. United will never be divided.
It's not telling me what country it is. Oh, El Salvador.
It's the No Kings National
That's that blue and white flag.
More than 20,000 people to the streets, many chanting words we can't share, holding signs we won't show you. But that doesn't mean.
Yeah, because those words were fuck Donald Trump. Look at that stupid little blow up thing.
As most here are upset about President Trump and his policies, challenging what they hold dear.
Most immediately is the federal thugs who are coming in and ripping people off
All
the
these
street.
pieces of shit.
After more than a raids and detentions involving Los Angeles' immigrant
Traitors.
Many here have simply had enough.
We all come from immigrants, especially our friends and family here surrounding us.
Yeah, legal immigrants.
A heavy military
Legal.
was clear on every corner, unnerving for some in its appearance, and more so in concept.
So we've got the National Guard at the VA, right? We've got military here. It's clearly an antagonizing tactic.
Yes, because if the National Guard and the military weren't there, you'd burn the fucking buildings to the ground. During the Summer of Love, you guys caught police stations on fire with police officers inside of them.
Bastion that doesn't represent the rest of American values, but California values are American values. The values of equality.
No, they're not.
Your neighbor. I think that's what this is all about.
California values are not what the rest of the country values.
And legal maneuvers of leaders stands this city and those simply willing to keep marching and shouting for their rights and the nation that they love.
They can have their Twitter fights, but these people are in the streets. These are people getting tear gas, and these are the people getting arrested.
I grew up in America, and I want America. I want America back.
Yeah, we all want America back.
And that's really what so many people were saying.
America with no illegals.
Known to come and love
people who respect each other,
particular city.
people that ain't out in the street rioting.
You see over there in the distance, about a block or so away, that is the mounted unit. Now, you may recall maybe an hour or so ago, they were pushing the crowd in that direction down Main Street. We were concerned about it because that is where, in fact, there's a lot of businesses, there's a lot of restaurants in that direction, and you can bet they are trying to now get those people to come back into a different area, as this is just
Send them down there to the businesses.
Full sequin dress on eBay from a seller who's probably a Vegas showgirl. So
get the business owners pissed,
and you have the police department trying to
because businesses pay a lot of taxes.
Going back and forth. Yes. Oh my goodness. Did you get it? Some of the chemical? Yeah, so did we. Hang in there. Go home. Be safe. Yes, no, we've been talking about it. You guys hang in there. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry you went through that. Hang in there.
You wouldn't have went through it if you stayed home.
Still stayed down here, did have to deal with those,
been a good little housewife. You wouldn't have gone through this. But feminist women think that traditional
that is what law is asking
roles
to just leave this area now
are stupid.
It is an unlawful assembly. Joy Benedict, thank you so much. As she mentioned, she's been there since 8:30. You just heard from a host of people that
there's a term out there called trad men, traditional men,
these happening nationally,
and these men are going over to like Korea,
down to South Orange County,
and other foreign countries,
and at some point
and getting wives
area near City Hall,
because those women understand the traditional value.
Yeah,
law enforcement started moving in, using their tactics, and then they were saying that some of these protests.
I've even had grown-ass men tell me that I'm not a man because I don't work every day, and that I wash dishes and do laundry.
In these flows of sudden bursts, using those less than lethals and
that's a woman's job to wash dishes and do laundry.
Pretty successfully now, especially as you get those crowds moving, people have sort of scattered.
It always cracks me up.
And now you see a heavy contingent of law enforcement all over the place. On that, we want to get to our Tom Wade, who's down there in downtown LA. And it looks like you're still in the park there, Tom. What are you seeing right now?
So we are just in front of City Hall by North Broadway, and you can see the plaza just in front of City Hall, which is Gloria Molina Plaza, is much emptier than it was before. And you can see a very large
look at all the trash
right outside of City Hall.
If there was a bunch of patriots there would be no trash.
By people in the crowd. So,
but whenever there's a whole bunch of liberals out there, there's trash and signs everywhere.
Police do appear ready to move.
Several years ago, there was a
behind us as well, not nearly as many, but
big teachers movement here in Phoenix.
Just on the stairs,
whole bunch of teachers congregated on the grounds of the state capitol.
Pavilions up there, but that's kind of that direction.
When they all left,
you're looking at right now. But
it took 3 trucks and probably a couple dozen patriots to go in there and clean up all their fucking trash.
loud confrontations between police and the protesters that are lingering.
Some
here.
of it was
You
disgusting
saw,
trash.
flashbangs going off, less than lethal.
Like
tools being used. I also saw
feminine
some
hygiene
fireworks being
products,
shot from
used
the crowd
ones.
as well. And so there's just a mix of a lot of different sort of chaotic things that were happening all at once. But right now, a lull in the action, and that is likely because police may be bringing in more people to flush more and more people out of this area to completely break up this crowd, and they've been doing that pretty methodically. Again, all of this happening in just a few blocks of a corner of a pocket of downtown LA. If you walk anywhere 2-3 blocks from here, you would have no idea any of this is even happening. It's very remarkable. Lots of drama here, but if you go pretty much anywhere else in LA outside this, I don't know, 7-8 blocks, 6-7-8 blocks, you would not know there's this sort of chaotic scene playing out.
Yeah, Tom, it looks like so much more.
Yeah, there was a protest in Mesa earlier.
Protesters, it looks like they've now
3.5 miles from my
Grand
house.
Park there. And you're right, this is that ebb and flow we continue to see. Things heighten, and then all of a sudden for some minutes,
People all
they
standing on the
quieten
corner
down
waving their
for just a bit.
flags.
And that's just kind
Like,
of what we've seen.
that's going to get
And let's get back out to our
Donald
Zach
Trump
Barretto.
to change
He's
the way
also
that
not
he
too far from
thinks
Tom, giving us a different
by
perspective
standing on a
of
corner and
things. You see
waving a
the sheriff's
Mexican
deputies behind
flag.
you, Zach. What else are you saying?
That's going to really get our point
Well, Gio Leslie,
across.
for people who don't know this area, we're on the steps of City Hall, and Tom Waite is just
Yeah, it's going to get the point across that you guys don't give a fuck about America.
That's where he was just talking to you from.
I mean, hell, I've been told that, well, Phoenix is Mexican land.
But if you look in the distance, as Tom mentioned,
I'm sure everybody's seen the Cat Williams video that's all over the internet now,
starting to block protesters in
where some person, when Cat Williams was here in doing a show here in Phoenix,
local lawmakers this week,
the person was like, this is Mexico, and Cat Williams was like, this ain't Mexico, this is Phoenix.
Protest. They don't want things to turn violent, yet here we are, and the peaceful protests have turned less than such, and now it looks like deputies and police officers are
Cat
starting
Williams,
to block
this
in
is
protesters
Phoenix.
at Gloria Molina Grand Park. If we turn here to our left, you can see LA Sheriff's deputies again here on Spring Street pushing protesters toward First Street. But here's the thing, there's LAPD officers on First Street now trying to push protesters back here on Spring toward Temple. So they're starting to push the protesters back in. Again, we know this is an unlawful assembly. They've ordered these people to disperse, but they have not. We have sheriff's deputies here with us on the LA City Council, LA City Hall steps, and then over here to our left, there's more deputies and more LAPD officers looking over those protesters as well. But here in the last 15 minutes, I've started to notice that law enforcement officers are now encircling this group of protesters, and it looks like here we go, moving in again. Here comes some more less than lethals. I'll just let the gnat sound kind of take over here. Just listen to this. And now we're seeing protesters run up Gloria Molina Grand Park past this green building here at the park, and they're kind of running back toward that corner. You can see them under the trees there, and I'm not sure if they're able to get past officers who are standing there on Broadway, but it looks like they're trying to go that direction and try to get out of the area now that deputies again are firing some of these flashbangs to try to push them down Spring Street. They're going west down Spring Street. We still have
I hope all these riders get PTSD from the flashbangs.
But law enforcement is trying
and got to go see a therapist.
There's a lot of
because oh boo-hoo, the police shot flashbangs at me.
Has just recently
I got PTSD now.
Here, and now there's graffiti all over it, all over City Hall here in LA. And there are stickers and posters and deputies, again, using those less lethals, pushing protesters down Spring towards First Street. Guys, and really, it's continued to be a hectic scene as we talked about the ebbs and flows here for this No King's Day rally, which turned into a peaceful protest, which has now turned into a protest that has fireworks, has tear gas, has flashbangs, And
They
it's
will
the
not
balls
use the
that are being
word
shown to
riot.
protesters, guys.
Yeah. Zach, yeah, the
He was trying to come up
situation,
with a
happening right now through the streets
a different
of,
word other
New
than
City Hall is
riot.
that if you heard while Zach was speaking,
Yeah.
there was that unlawful assembly being declared. The speaker, you could hear them, law enforcement declaring that.
You know,
and then
looking at that port excursion
they then start to
makes
move
me think
in,
of
they
the two
deploy, they
dumbest
let them
things that
refill, they
Ford
deploy
ever did.
the gases as well, and then they clear
Stop
that
building
area
the
and move
excursion
forward.
You're starting to see fewer and fewer
and stop
protesters
building
just
the
sort of scattered
Crown
around
Vic.
based on our live shots, and a lot more officers on the left side of your
Especially
screen,
the
as well as
excursion.
the right side of your screen.
We're
We
still
can, we're gonna check
building
back in with
F-250s
Troy Benedict, who's
every
not too
single
far from
day.
where Zach is, from where Tom is. You know, we're all monitoring the situation.
It's not too hard to take an F-250
downtown. Joy, what do you see?
and make it into a excursion.
Well, as you saw, all the protesters were pushed from that side of the park over to this side. This is right in front of the Los Angeles Police Department on Main and First Street. What they are doing is they're trying to corral them here in the middle, and they're about to start detaining them. We saw the Los Angeles Police Department show up, and with dozens of people. They have basically, the plastic zip ties that they use to detain people. And I can bet you that's what they're about to do over here on this corner. This is Spring and First Street is where we're walking towards. And so at this point, they have basically all four corners of the intersection roped off to people. And so you can tell that they're going to start detaining people here in this area. So that's what they're
I
about to
love
start
it.
doing.
I love it. I
They're
love it.
trying
I
to
love it.
prevent more protesters from coming into this intersection so that they can, in fact, detain them. This has been declared an unlawful assembly. It was declared
Corral
an unlawful
them
assembly quite a
and
while
start
ago.
arresting them.
And so they have been slowly moving the protesters into the same location in hopes of being able to detain them and get those who aren't
Look.
dispersed into custody of some kind.
Look
Now, if you
like
look over there, you
roaches
can see some folks are trying to hop
running
that fence.
up
You see
up
they're
the
trying to
wall.
hop that fence into that area that's been fenced off for quite some time. So they're trying to do that to try and escape everything that is going on right here, as they obviously don't want to be arrested or even detained.
So now you're going into a fenced off
the Los
area.
Angeles Police Department, as we've been talking about,
That's
playing
to keep
this
people out of that
game
area.
chess as they're trying to alienate the agitators, the ones that
It's like,
sometimes come here
yeah,
strictly to
let's
get
go
arrested,
into a
away from
fenced-in
the
area.
protesters who continue to be lingering behind.
Let's go into a
on
little
what they say
tiny
are a
fenced-in
peaceful
area.
day. So you do have a few of those, and then you have the
That's
agitators. It's the agitators that they're trying to arrest, the ones that are throwing things at the officers that have come here simply to be difficult. And we know who they are, and I think I can make that assumption very clearly by some of the actions that you've seen. They've come with that stuff. If you look over to the right-hand side,
oh my God, the cameraman is making me sick.
they're trying to get us to push back a little bit. If you look over to the right-hand side, that's where the sheriff's department is. So they're asking us all to stay back a little bit. Obviously, it's hard for the police department when you have this many people to determine who's the media, who's not the media. So we're all just going to hang back a little bit and let them do their job that they are trained to do, which is try and detain some of these agitators that have
Come
been
on,
causing
Tubby.
problems for a couple of hours now.
Come on, Tubby. You can do it.
Many problems this
Come on,
week.
Tubby,
We had
Tubby.
multiple businesses
Oh,
that were
come on,
vandalized.
Tubby.
We had
You can do it.
graffiti all over downtown. It has been a lot
Oh my God.
difficult
I can't get
situations
over
for
the
folks who
fence
live,
because I'm
work,
too
and have
fat.
businesses here in this community, and so they are doing their best to make sure that doesn't happen again tonight. We are
I spent too much time online playing video games and eating fucking Cheetos.
so we already have an unlawful assembly. At that point, we're going to have a curfew
As a professional mechanic, your tools are essential for your living. Icon Tools complete every repair without getting
custody, whether they are arrested and charged or just taken into custody and detained. That remains to be seen, depending on what the police department wants to do and how they want to handle them, and also what their violation may have been. But again, a very strong presence by the Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and some National Guard members that we saw. They've really also been making a good use of their mounted units today to disperse this crowd. I mean, it was so heart-stopping earlier in the week when we saw firecrackers being shown at the Los Angeles Police Department horses. We certainly don't want to see anything like that happen again. And so they are really trying to use what I like to call controlled chaos, as the police department knows exactly what they're doing right now, and that is trying to get this crowd to disperse.
Joy Benedict, we will check in with you here, but we want to say goodbye to our viewers on Channel 2. Continue our coverage on Channel 9.
And as we continue that coverage, Joy, you made a good point earlier about how, a lot of this is trying to move the crowds that have gotten together here, but not push them to the point of getting into the business district or anywhere where they could cause even more mayhem. That's been obviously a concern of law enforcement and local leaders throughout the week, and of course business owners as well. And now, in terms of cornering off here, I mean, we were just looking at the folks climbing over that fence. It really does seem like law enforcement has, upped the ante a little bit here and started to really do their best to corral everyone and overwhelm anybody who's still lingering in that area.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what they're doing. You said it right. I like to call it controlled chaos because on the ground, it may look a little chaotic. People running, flashbangs, smoke, the irritants, the gas irritants that go into the air that pepper your eyes and make your eyes water, but they know exactly what they're doing. They are trained for this. They have planned for this. They have had a plan all day long. They probably knew the exact time they were going to start moving everybody back. And once we reached that time, well, they did exactly what they are trained to do, which is try and corral this crowd into an area that they feel is the safest for the ones that are refusing to leave. So folks have had plenty of notice now. We're going on 2 hours that they've started to disperse this crowd. So you have had time to get to your car, and now they are going to start detaining people who are refusing to do so. And that's what you're going to start seeing here. We've seen it every night for the last few nights, so it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone who's watching. But I also want to point out, this is a small area of downtown. LA Live, you're not going to see any of this. Over in the business district, you're not going to see any of this. If you are not near this government area over here where the police department is and City Hall is, you're not going to see that there's any problems going on downtown. And I guess that's what we want, right? So we are focusing a lot right now. We have a lot of staff and reporters here in this particular area, but the rest of downtown is running as smoothly and as expected on a Saturday night.
Joy Benedict reporting live for us. We'll check in with you in just a
And the
moment.
sun
We do
hasn't even
have
gone
Sheriff
down
Robert
yet.
Luna on the line with us. Sheriff Luna, this is Leslie you're speaking to in Geo. Can you hear me?
Leslie and Geo, good to be on with you.
So we know right around 4:30, things took a turn all day. Things had been peaceful since about 8:30 a.m. What happened?
You're exactly right. The entire day was very peaceful. You had a lot of folks out, families, dogs. I mean, everybody was doing great until about 4-ish, right before 4, right after 4. You started getting these individuals, these agitators who started to attack police officers. And as always, police will always give an announcement, and people, individuals, not the whole group, obviously went a different direction. And that's what you see now, which I think is very sad because it wasn't reflective of the great people who were out here peacefully demonstrating and protesting. That's, what we're all about. It's these individual agitators who come here with their intent to commit acts of violence on deputy sheriffs, police officers, and destroy property.
You mentioned, Sheriff Luna, that attacks on officers and deputies is absolutely something that will not be tolerated, not to mention violence against buildings, against other people as well. And then, of course, there are deputies and LAPD officers that have not been shy about detaining and arresting folks over the last few days and over the past week. I doubt there are numbers, but what is the plan in terms of addressing this current situation as we approach the curfew, which is when we tend to see things sort of start, quote unquote, calming down a little bit?
Yeah, so first of all, we're in unified command with the LAPD and the California Highway Patrol. What that basically means is we are collectively making decisions, but LAPD is in the lead because it's happening in this square mile area inside the city of Los Angeles. So they will be making specific decisions. We will be assisting them as the Sheriff's Department and CHP to make sure that we clear out the area to make it safe so that we can try and bring everything back to normal. And realistically, in the process, try and arrest as many people, not that we're protesting and demonstrating. I think I've laid that out very clear that there's a very clear distinction. It's arresting the individuals that are causing the problems, the ones attacking officers and involved in the destruction of property.
Yeah, and you, along with the mayor, along with LAPD police chief McDonald, all came out. You held
Look at all the
separate press
garbage there.
conferences saying there was going to be no
Fucking
room
boxes
for
of
this type
diapers.
violence, no room for agitators. To see it really go from what it was earlier today to this, just your thoughts as a sheriff who's been monitoring this.
Yeah, it's my first thought is sadness. Because there's a lot of very good people that came out to protest a very legitimate cause, to send a very good message. And these individuals committing crimes now that turned a lot of this around, they're diluting the message. And we've got to get back to the legitimate folks here, which is 99% of them, who are just trying to make it right. And you know what, Leslie, it's tough because I feel the fear and anxiety. I'm talking to a lot of our community members. I'm very sensitive to it. My background, my family, immigrants, obviously.
You wouldn't have fear and anxiety if you weren't here illegally.
That's protesting, and our deputies and police officers that are on the front line. We're very sensitive to it. But we should all stand together and come out strong and say, hey, these individuals that are just creating this chaos through criminal activity is 100% unacceptable.
And it sounds like it's worth repeating as well, because obviously speaking to that fear and anxiety when you're looking and watching, from home or from elsewhere, and you see all of this heavy activity, you see hundreds of sheriff's deputies, of LAPD officers, of CHP, all congregated in downtown, it could seem to paint the picture that this is happening everywhere else as well. But it sounds like you're making it clear once again, as you have before, that this is just isolated to one particular area, that the rest of Southern California, for the most part, really, it can go about their days.
What
as
guy are
normal,
you
that
talking
this is just
about?
really
The
isolated to
officer?
a few agitators that are wanting to make a scene, and that you guys are handling it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This is about a 1 square mile area. It's been the same area every night. The target seems to be that federal complex right adjacent to the 101 freeway. And just so the viewers know, we have handled other protests, not only this week, but throughout today in other parts of LA County. We're monitoring other protests in adjacent counties. To date, and that could change as it gets dark, almost all of them have been peaceful, which is what we want to see. That is what gives that strong, or gets that strong message across. So our goal is to assist the LAPD. I give a lot of kudos to Chief Jim McDonald and the LAPD. I think they've been doing a great job. Our coordinated efforts with them and other law enforcement agencies, people are saying they've never seen it better than it is right now. I agree with that. And we're constantly communicating with other law enforcement agencies here in Los Angeles County, the other 44 agencies. I'm communicating with the sheriffs, all my neighbor sheriffs, and just making sure that we're okay. And then it's like, hey, if I'm not affected, I'm a resource to you. I'm ready to come in.
Yeah, they're a bunch of
a
punks.
lot of people in ready, reserve, staged, ready to go. I'm praying we don't need one of them. I'm hoping that we're able to bring everything in this small area back to normal here real soon.
And I just want to talk about some of the resources that
I
you may
bet
have there in downtown. Because
next weekend it's going to be the same thing.
Response team, correct? Do you also have the booking team out there? And then when we're seeing some of this less than lethal being deployed, can you talk to us just about what the sheriff's department there deploys?
Without getting into specifics about exact deployment, I can tell your viewers this. The only time our deputy sheriffs are utilizing that less lethal weapon is when they are being attacked or others are being attacked.
They're just embarrassing all the hardworking people that live here.
Sometimes the video doesn't show it, but you have individuals launching the craziest things at them, from pyrotechnics to Molotov cocktails, almost anything you can think of. And a lot of these groups are actually bringing, for example, these long pipes where they're launching pyrotechnics at our folks. That is dangerous. That's an assault with a deadly weapon. That's a felony.
I love how they're
So,
saying
that becomes
pyrotechnics.
so
Like I
let's
got to
analyze
use the
that.
big
I'm
word for
sorry, that first part of the
fireworks.
question again.
You know, what resources do you have out there? I know the special response team may be out there already, correct?
Yes, our sheriff's response team is.
Yeah,
out there.
they're all
The
launching
other
bottle
question you
rockets at
asked
them
about is our sheriff's
because that's the only reason why they would need
they are
a
out there
pipe
deployed. They
launching
are
bottle
assisting
rockets.
not only our agency but CHP and LAPD. So just again, a word of the wise to the people out there who are refusing to disperse after an unlawful assembly was called. High likelihood you're going to be arrested. We have the resources in place. And honestly, it's going to ruin your night because you're going to get booked. When you get booked, you know, you're going to potentially probably get charged because I've talked to
Oh,
DJ
yeah.
Hoffman, and he's not messing around with this. And it's
Actually,
gonna
there was
cost you
a
money,
protest
time, and effort. It's
just a
not
few
worth
miles
it.
from
So
where I
home
live
for tonight.
here in
Let us
Mesa.
clean this area out, and we hopefully our peaceful.
But a lot of it's been
protesters will come out,
happening on the west side of Phoenix.
tomorrow again to send that positive message they've been trying to send.
The
if you
crazy
do
one last
look
night
at
was
a lot
on
of what is happening on
35th
your
Avenue
TV
in Van
screens now,
Buren.
these are people who are refusing.
Me and my
to leave.
wife used to live
A lot
on
of them have masks
27th
on.
Avenue in
A
Van
lot
Buren.
of them have umbrellas on or
There's
umbrellas
a
out, which are
trailer
used to
park right there.
propel a lot of our less
The
lethal
very first
munitions.
place we lived
They
was in
are
that
equipped
trailer park
to fight the
in a
police.
crappy ran down
That is
motorhome.
not acceptable. That's something we have to deal with, and that's what you see us as the LA County Sheriff's Department, CHP.
That
and
we
the
actually
LAPD
made
doing
money
right now.
on by living
LA
there.
County Sheriff Robert Luna, thank you so much for giving us a few minutes of your time. We certainly appreciate it this evening.
Here, I will explain how we lived in a place for 4 years and made money. So we bought this 38-foot long, big Class A motorhome. Piece of junk. But it was ours. It had a 7,000 watt generator. Big one. Well, as soon as we got it into the spot that we rented, I posted that generator online for like, I think it was like $500 or $600. Somebody came down and bought it, took it out, bought it, and then so we only paid like $1,000 for this motorhome, and we lived there for 4 years. Well, when we were ready to move out, I posted it back on Facebook Marketplace for $300. A person came down and bought it. So it didn't cost us any money to live in this motorhome. Because the price that we paid for it, the money that we made for the generator, and the money that we made when we sold it, we broke even.
Just in the last hour, really.
But yeah,
emphasis by law enforcement of getting in there and pushing the crowds out, and it really seems
35th
have
Avenue
an upper hand on this, and in
is
terms
where
of
we
getting,
went grocery
folks
shopping.
dispersed.
There
the
was
sheer
a food
number
city there.
of sheriff's deputies and officers is a lot right now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So there's a couple of things that have come up in the last about 40 minutes or so. I've been listening to the radio traffic here, the unified command between LAPD and the LA County Sheriff's Department, and also that great interview with Sheriff Luna. So they have determined that the exit route for all protesters will now be to the south. They will no longer be pushing people to the west or to the east. The primary exit route for all protesters is to go to the south. The second thing, to your point, Gio, is we have seen a general dispersal of protesters to the south, to the west, and that's good news, except for the fact that now the perimeter that LAPD and LA County sheriffs have to maintain is getting larger and larger. And there are some concerns that around the edges of this perimeter, that they are seeing some protesters try to double back and get behind police lines. Now, if our director can come out to my screen, I'm going to show you on the map where this is happening. It still continues to be in the far northeast corner of downtown LA. And if we have that ability, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in and show you this map here. So what we are seeing here, the first major landmark that I want to talk about here is LA City Hall. Now, that has been a source of a lot of the protesters' targets today. We've seen them go down this direction. There was pepper spray here and here. Those protesters then went down in this direction. Now, what we're seeing here now is a large majority of protesters went to the west through Grant Park and then down this way. And then we also saw protesters go to the south here. Now, the problem was at 2nd and Broadway and 1st and Broadway. These two locations is where we had some more rocks and bottles issues. And that's where we now see skirmish lines in the form of here and here and also over here. So the other thing that LAPD is concerned about is I'm going to zoom in right here is this. This is the Grand Central Civic Center Grand Park Metro Station. Now, they were concerned that it's been running this whole time, and they actually had people coming off the Metro heading into the protest, right into the middle of pepper balls and flashbangs. So they have asked Metro to actually shut down the Civic Center Grand Park Station for now. Now, our last camera shot that we had was looking this direction. So we know that there are protesters in this area, and they are trying to push them to the south. That is the corridor that LAPD wants all of these protesters to go. But looking at this here, you're going to see at first they just had to monitor the perimeter here. Now the perimeter is in this area. Then they're going to have to worry about all of that. So this is why they're worried about stretching their officers and deputies thin. They want to continue to tell these protesters to please disperse the area and head to the south. And hopefully this can end peacefully as we head closer and closer to the curfew, which is going to take place right in this area in about an hour and 15 minutes.
It's not going to end
Looking at
peacefully.
that crowd, Gio, and you can make out that it is maybe close to 100 people, maybe give or take. Not as
Hey,
big,
Santa Claus is out there.
as we've definitely seen in the past, definitely thinning
Oh
out.
my God.
But at this point, LAPD continues to tell us, and you heard from the sheriff, that there are a few agitators in this group that remains that continue to throw fireworks at officers, concrete at officers, just glass. So the situation still remains one where law enforcement is going to continue to call for an unlawful assembly, use less lethal. The sheriff said that his department will not use less lethal unless they are being attacked.
And that's going to be the interesting thing to see as we start to approach that curfew hour, because what we've noticed in just this past week when the curfew was first instituted, and then we were keeping an eye on downtown from the 8 o'clock hour and then into the rest of the evening, I mean, crowds really started to dissipate. Now, granted, on the one hand, those are weeknights, those are school nights, work nights, etc. As you take a live look there on the left side of your screen, another row or collection of LAPD officers moving seemingly toward that crowd. This is the largest congregation that we're keeping an eye on at the moment, it seems, with the number of flags and banners. So then on the other hand, it comes to the point of seeing how this turns into a weekend, because we know certainly people have more time. It's a Saturday night as opposed to a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, Thursday night. So there's that on top of the fact that we've seen such an outward push by LAPD, by sheriff's deputies, by law enforcement here in downtown with vehicles as well. I mean, it's not just officers in their tactical gear. It is vehicles directly behind them. It's the mounted unit as well. I mean, there has been no shortage of officers pushing these crowds out and using those less than lethals to clear them out from locations. But to Mark's point, then you start getting into a situation where the perimeter becomes a little bit more difficult to maintain, and perhaps folks are circling back. So the hope there is that people finally get the message and start dispersing, and then the thinning out then really starts to settle the crowd down. But that is going to be the number one thing we keep an eye on in this next hour and 10 minutes as we get to the 8 o'clock curfew, when things start getting dark, because then, of course, going back to our earlier notes, is that when things get dark, that's when certain situations start to escalate, as right now you see another group of LAPD officers start to have some pep in their step and move toward looks like the crowd. I'm trying to get a marker there, but no shortage. I mean, that's First Street there.
Have some
no
pep in their
shortage of
step.
officers at all. I mean, they certainly outnumber protesters by a heavy amount at this moment in downtown LA.
Yeah, at least that's how we're viewing it from our vantage point here. But yeah, that is an army of LAPD officers who have been preparing for this for several days. Not only have many been engaged in situations like this for the last week, but we know LAPD now in unified command with CHP as well as the Sheriff's Department, all working together right now. LAPD, the lead agency on this, but take a look. You can just make out all the media, and then you have just like an army of LAPD officers. And in front of them, there are still some of these protesters who have decided to linger around. You can see many of the people on the front lines here holding up signs and pushing back as LAPD and officials are pushing forward.
Yeah, and even
See, all these
though
protesters
seeing
just
this on
hate
this camera view
everything.
right now, these
They had a
protesters
"fuck Israel"
really
sign.
engaging with officers in the sense of throwing things at them.
They
Joy,
just
it is
hate
worth mentioning
hate
again, this
everybody.
unlawful assembly has been declared, so these folks are being told to leave right now. I mean, your First Amendment right to protest in this case does not apply. They're going to push them out one way or the other.
Yeah, that's right. We are live here with the police department as they are trying to push people back. We're on First Street, or I should say just west of First and Broadway right now. And so they've been allowing us to get closer and closer every time that they move. In front of about I'd say 50 or so, maybe up to 100 officers in front of us are a small group of protesters, and those are the ones they're trying to corner together that they will be detaining if they do not find a way out of this situation. It does not appear that in the distance, once we get further down, there's any other line. So if they continue to move and disperse, they may not get arrested. But again, this is all part of the
Yeah, you won't get arrested if you just go home.
talking about for quite some time. What's behind us? I'm sorry. Oh, I see. They're bringing some more officers in from the left-hand side. We just want to make sure that they get us through. So they were telling us to pause for a second, but they're basically allowing us to be on the sidewalk as they are advancing forward, trying to disperse the crowd in what I like to call the game of chess, as they're trying to get everyone to disperse. It's a little bit of what I like to also refer to as organized chaos, because although it may look a little chaotic for the protesters and the demonstrators who have been out here, this is a very well planned and now executed attempt to disperse the crowd once things became unruly. We've been talking about the time frames. It is almost 7 o'clock. That means we are an hour away from what is be considered curfew, and we are already into an unlawful assembly that has been declared here in the area. So from where we are standing on the Broadway and First area, as we have been moving from City Hall to this area, then that is what you are seeing. It's just a waiting game at this point, who's going to leave and who's going to stick around to get arrested, as many people are doing this just simply because they know that's coming and they want that to be their mark on history. That's what we see every time we have demonstrations like this. We have a lot of very passionate people. You also have a lot of people who are just simply here to be agitators and cause some problems. So you see a mix of that at this stage of the day, after what has been a very long day of demonstrating, most of it very, very peaceful. We went from 8:30 to about 4:30 this afternoon with not even an issue. So that is 8 hours of not even an issue, of 25,000 people here downtown following the laws.
I said it in my earlier live stream
and it was really a
that as soon as it starts getting dark, it's going to get violent.
a day for so many families, people of all generations who came in here to let their voices be heard and express their concerns with so many things going on, not only here in Los Angeles, but with the current administration in the White House, and things that are the battleground between the Reds and the Blues, and sort of California being stuck in the middle. But now what you're seeing is the other group. At around 4:30, for those who are just joining us right now, that's when we first saw the National Guard start to push demonstrators away from the federal building as they were working their way at the end of the protest from City Hall to the federal building. So the National Guard started moving them back. Then you had the Los Angeles Police Department with their mounted unit that came, also starting to push things back. Once the officers felt that things were being thrown at them, that is when they started using those less than lethal tactics that we discussed. Those are the things that you saw with the flashbangs and the chemicals that they were putting in the air. The Sheriff's Department says it's not tear gas, but more of a chemical irritant, as they don't use tear gas anymore. So they used that. They also used the smoke bombs that you could see as they were trying to get folks to disperse. And you continue to see some agitators throwing things at the officers. officers. Then you also had the sheriff's department that were using, you can see the police department have them as well, the green straps. Those are the less than lethal rubber bullets, as we like to call them. They're pretty big, those are 40 millimeters. So they're about 3 inches long or so when you look at them, and they're projectiles that are used to hit people in their lower legs or so who are not going with the crowd. And so we've been seeing a lot of that throughout the evening since this all started, becoming a little bit more heightened maybe 2.5 hours ago or so. And look at this long line of police cars that are following the officers on foot just to make sure. This is another tactic, right? The police cars are here to make sure that if the crowd gets past the officers, one, they have extra backup, and then also it's harder to get through all of these vehicles. As we continue to move forward, you can also hear some of the chanting of the folks that simply don't want to go. And as I said, many people are
No,
here
I
simply to
didn't.
get
I didn't
detained.
watch it.
They're
I'm gonna
here
watch it
simply to get
later.
arrested. This is part of the plan. If they wanted to leave
But
by
tell your
now, they had
husband,
several hours to do so peacefully.
thank
So
you
this is
for
the
his
choice. I'll send it back to you.
service.
Joy Benedict live in downtown LA. Joy, thank you. Yeah, even just in the midst of her live shot there, you can see the deliberate nature with which LAPD is moving forward. And you know, we always go back to what we can see, and judging by their body language, it just seems, you know, it's obviously intentional, it's deliberate, but it's not, you know, necessarily aggressive in this particular moment right here. It's just moving this crowd out.
Continue this routine of letting people know this is an unlawful assembly.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to continue moving forward. And as Mark Liu was telling us, their plan is really to continue to move people to the south and give them that exit route. We're going to continue our coverage here on KCAL until about 7 p.m. So I do want to turn it over to Mark Liu. If you're monitoring anything that we should know for our viewers as we head, you know, closer to this curfew, but also I've been monitoring.
Oh, here
this
we go.
protest here for the last 2 hours now.
Yeah, it looks like LAPD and LA County sheriffs have formulated a pretty strict plan to continue the kind of action that we are seeing right here in front of us. Now we are as far south as 2nd Street, as Broadway. They continue to move south. Looking here, the action has moved from the area of City Hall, which is the landmark I want to show you here in downtown LA, down these corridors of Broadway and Main. We saw a big dispersal here. These groups have gone in this direction, so that's good news for the eastern side of this protest. And then we saw these groups that are now heading to the south here along Broadway, and now we are even here approaching 2nd Street. So we continue to see a motion towards the southern part of downtown LA as elements of LAPD and the LA County Sheriffs continue to move in that southbound direction. This is also really good news for any sort of concerns that along the
Olivia,
101, as they had
I'm the
blocking forces
same
here
way.
at Broadway, Main, and Los Angeles. They did not want people going on the freeway. But as this curfew,
I just don't understand these
everyone
idiots.
here who is in the southbound direction from
It's
Broadway,
like, yeah,
and Main,
we're a
Los
country
Angeles,
full of
and Hill
immigrants,
Street, they are going to have
but
to find
we've
a
all
way out through the
assimilated
this commercial
to
area of downtown LA. And there
this
are
country.
opportunities there to disperse.
What you're
Certainly
supposed to do.
there are places that they could go from out into that direction. But right now, we continue to see LAPD use
And these legal immigrants
spray balls
don't
and
like
flashbangs
the
there to get
illegals.
people to
I've seen
continue
tons of
to
videos
move
all
south.
over social
That is
media.
the direction of exit that they
These
want the protesters
legal
to disperse.
immigrants that have came
Mark,
here
at the desk, Mark, thank you so much. Yeah, it
did
seems to
it
be
the
something
right
we'll continue
way.
to monitor throughout the night,
They don't
especially as
support
crowds
this.
potentially start dispersing when this curfew starts hitting in the next hour.
Yeah, you know, this follows a day of No Kings protests
Oh, yeah.
nationally. 2,000 of these protests happening nationally on the
Yeah,
same
my
day that President Trump held a
buddy
parade
Bill
in Washington,
that passed away.
celebrating the Army's 250th
I think it's been 6
anniversary.
years now.
It also falls on his 79th birthday. But these
He
No
would
Kings
have been
protests,
so pissed seeing this.
protesting that as well as other things,
He
including
served in
here in Los Angeles,
Vietnam for 8
as
years in the
we
Army.
have seen. We know at some point at the height of
We
this
didn't find
protest,
out till after he
25,000
died that he
people were
received
here
a Purple
downtown. I
Heart.
spoke to the sheriff who says from 8:30 to about 4 p.m., 4:30, things remained peaceful. They had no issues. There were plenty of people downtown. It was right around 4:30 that things took a turn. They say protesters started throwing things at officers, a very small amount. The people that lingered around started throwing fireworks at officers here, and this is the situation we now have.
Yeah, and we'll continue to monitor for you as the evening progresses. We'll break in, of course, as needed throughout the evening. Otherwise, we will see you back here for KCAL News at 8 p.m.
Okay, so okay, let me go see if Andy's live. Yep, Andy's still alive.
Behind the rear bumper because it's
it looks like LA Live. Check Hearn and LA Live.
And again, everybody, this is Portland Andy. He's got a great channel.
And then westbound towards the left hand and hold that intersection. I want to get ready to put you there so they don't get on that freeway. Provide us a location.
I want to see what's going in front of that line, not behind the line, but at least we're behind it. They're shooting off a lot of boomers.
Yeah, and we return to your vehicle. In 23 DUI traffic 12736 Montford Street, code 272757 and 96
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I've been following Andy for a long time.
Any questions while you hear that will come up here, please. So I need you to come down to Figueroa
Hmm.
come back. If you're not holding Fish and Pico, then you give it to Whitney. They're turning southbound on Flower Street, headed towards the 10. I want to
Smoking scan. I wish I didn't smoke, but
2757 1611 will handle.
that's the only vice I have. Because the guy that you're seeing right now, this version of me, is not the version of me 10 years ago, prior to all of my health problems. The version of me 10 years ago was an asshole. And
thank you, Kim, for the very generous cash app.
an alcoholic.
Awesome job.
And
Thank you for the kind words as well. Thank you.
I never did meth, but as people like to call it, booger sugar. That was my thing.
Wearing a beige t-shirt, black long sleeve shorts, black and yellow Nike shoes, carrying a TV. The shot is a 2769.
Nothing like putting a little booger sugar in your morning coffee to get the day going.
Return to your vehicles and respond to hail at 101. So now,
I'm gonna restart real quick, right? Breathing, suffering from seizure. We're gonna be on 7 and Spring.
Yeah, I have mellowed out a lot. If you can send me we'll drop a link in the chat for that smoking scan guy.
You guys get in the area, let me know. Hold on Hope Street for me when you get close.
I follow I I follow and subscribe to so many different people. Olivia, we're all old. Because we were born in the 1900s.
Monitor for an open mic. Hey, sir, if you get ready to, we're gonna push up. Now, if you think you can do that successfully, let me know.
Ooh, that's a nice band.
Fourth and Broadway. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely do that.
Oh yeah, the 80s were awesome. But the real 80s, not this made up neon 80s shit that everybody thinks the 80s were.
2036.
Yeah, I turned 51 in a few more months. And seriously, I didn't think I was gonna reach 50. Because I don't know if I've ever told you this, but 2018, when I had my second stroke, I was about this close to not being here anymore. Your body has what's called an EF rate. It's how good your heart is moving oxygen. Most people are at a 65, 70, 75. I was at a 13. If my EF rate would have got down to single digits, my organs would have started shutting down. They didn't want to let me leave the hospital. I had to sign myself out. They made me wear a wearable defibrillator vest. So if my heart stopped, I would get shocked and be brought back. Yeah, I had done made my peace with God, and I said my goodbyes to my wife and to my family. I posted a thing on social media telling everybody goodbye. Yeah, I have stage 4 congestive heart failure. I take over a dozen different medications every day. And thank God to the state of Arizona, I don't have to pay for any of it. Because one of my meds is $1,500 a month. A medication called Eliquis. It's a blood thinner. $1,500 a month. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. We also need to pray for Michelle. You know, Patriot Warrior or whatever she's using as her handle now. Because she's been really sick for the past 6 days. Vomiting, diarrhea. I don't know what her
Of course, Red Mama. Thank you for the 2. I appreciate you.
her
Let's get another beer.
Oh, there we go.
We understand criminal charges can be intimidating and ruin your life, whether it's a deep.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
There we go.
Let's party, random.
This, Michelle. That beautiful one. Yeah, she said she's been really, really sick. Oh my God, Olivia, you have blood cancer? I'm so sorry, dear. Yeah, I know exactly where the Mayo Clinic is. Yep, I do too, dear. And of course, everybody's like, but broken, you're still smoking. Yes, I still smoke. But this is the only bad thing that I do is I smoke.
What is foam?
If you don't take a headshot or a face shot, it might be okay. It's supposed to be non-lethal.
Look at Kimberly Roper with the two super sticker. I appreciate you.
Oh man.
The $2 challenge has been activated.
Oh,
Challenge is fully
I
activated.
hope I got a battery, everyone. The battery in my awesome mouse just died. So let's see if I got a battery. Oh yeah, here we go. I want to show everyone this. There we go. I bought a cool little thing at Dollar Tree. How about this? Now you're probably wondering what this is. It's a phone holder. $1.25. And it just folds up.
We're almost at 72K. Oh my goodness, we are close.
Yeah, that is so true. And there's so much stuff that I want to do, but it's all on having the money to be able to do it. Like I want to go all over the state of Arizona that I live in and video everything. Because I think Arizona is the most beautiful state ever. But that takes time, that takes money. Me and my wife are moving back to Phoenix at the end of the year, and I didn't really want to move back to our old place. So my wife said, well, find the place you want to live that is around the same rent as here. So I found a really nice 1,200 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Just a beautiful place. It's called the Estates on Maryland. So we will be moving there at the end of the year. Which
72K, we did it, chat. Yahoo!
probably after the yeah, no sinks in the island. And when I explained it, everybody was like, oh, I get it now. Well, why are they doing that? I'm like, I don't know. You put the most disgusting thing in your kitchen, front and center. It's like, My thing is, if you got an island, put a stovetop in it. So when you're standing there cooking, you can be watching TV, you can be talking to family. Put the cooktop there. But no, they put the disgusting sink there.
So what they said right now, they're going to clear the rooftop. So they can
But actually, the new place that we're moving to, the island's probably 4 foot wide by 6 feet long. There's nothing in it,
group of cops went in there.
which means that you've got that 4 foot by 6 foot flat surface to do everything on. And what does one thing that people have to do every year? Wrap presents. And we normally have to try to do it on the kitchen table, which means clearing the kitchen table off, or do it all on the floor. And for people our age, getting down, wrapping presents on the floor, then getting back up off the floor, that takes major effort. But having a 6x4 island, it's awesome. And a split floor plan, which means that my studio will be all the way on the other end of the apartment, and our bedroom will be on the other end. And my studio will be right by the front door. That's what I don't like about this place. That's what I didn't like about the last place. Is if anybody wants to come over, they have to walk all the way through the apartment to come into my studio. Oh, I'm going to do a full video. But if you want to look it up, look up Estates on Maryland. And it's the 2-bedroom, 2-bath that is like
I guess they're just shooting in Salt Lake City. Curfew just started now in LA. And we're here. Oh, I'm gonna go to the restroom. I'll be right back. Thank you, Ryan.
The floor plan is the PINON. Hopefully I don't crash my computer doing this. Here, let me pop out of here and show you. Here will be our new kitchen. I think that is so awesome. Tons of countertop space, a little desk over here in the corner. Big living room. And then my because the front door is here, my studio will be here. So straight shot. And somebody wants to use the guest bathroom, right here. But yeah, just having this huge island. So then I can start my cooking channel. And there's even a big patio balcony. It's a beautiful place.
Lincoln Union.
No, I don't.
King Edward Lincoln
For the main reason is because say that I have to go back to the hospital. Normally, a hospital trip for me is 3 weeks. So, with my wife working double shifts, working 2 jobs, if we had a dog, and if I have to go back to the hospital, who's gonna take care of the dog? Yeah, the patio there is amazing. Our patio here, I can stand in the middle of the patio and touch the walls. It's a tiny ass place. But yeah, and it's got its own water heater. Now I know that might sound kind of crazy, me being excited about having my own water heater, but here in my apartment complex, we have a boiler that heats up everybody's water. The boiler is in the middle of the apartment complex. So say I went into my bathroom right now, turned the bathroom faucet on. I could come back into my studio, make a cigarette, smoke the cigarette before the water gets hot. You have to run, and that's in the summertime. In the wintertime, you might as well turn the hot water on and then start making dinner. Because it takes about 35, 40 minutes for the water to get hot. Yeah, it's got a washer and dryer. It's got a laundry room with like one whole wall full of shelves. It's got a closet right there in the hallway. So I'll be able to put all of my gear in it. Because now I've got YouTube gear everywhere. I got tripods in the living room, tripods in the kitchen, lights everywhere. I got a tripod in the back of my car. Yeah, I would love to have a dog, and I could get a dog for free. My daughter got a Black Lab German Shepherd mix, named him Wiley, like Wiley Coyote. That dog loves me. The next time I go over there, I will, which might be tomorrow. I don't know what my daughter has planned or my wife has planned for Father's Day. Might be tomorrow, but I will do a video showing Wiley. Oh, our lease isn't up till the end of the year, and there's currently at the place that we're looking at, there's 9 vacant apartments that are the same floor plan. It's a gigantic, like 1,000-unit complex. I mean, it's 3 stories, 1,000 units. But their dog Wiley loves me. He listens to me. But he's 1 year old. He's a puppy. So he wants to get up on you. He wants to get up on the couch. He wants to snuggle with you. My daughter has a black couch. She doesn't want any of the pets up on the couch. So I could easily drive over there and be like, Wiley, get in the car. I'll grab your food and let's go. Wiley's an awesome dog. I mean, German Shepherd, Black Lab, awesome dog.
Join the movement.
Well, thank you. Now, here's a story that a lot of people probably don't know. I never wanted to be a dad. Never wanted to be. So many years ago, I went and had the old snip done because I didn't want children. I was married to my second wife. She didn't want kids. I was all into building show cars and stuff. I was busy all the time. Working 55 hours a week building show cars in my spare time. I didn't even have time to be married. So I went and got the old snip done. Well, on Thanksgiving, my wife at the time was Mexican. I show up over at her family's house thinking I'm going to have the traditional Thanksgiving dinner. They had tacos and burritos for Thanksgiving. And I was told that I'm a dumb redneck because I wanted a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. Well, I went home, loaded my stuff up in my truck, went to my buddy's house, said I'm going to crash here for a while, told him what was going on. He had a big, 5-bedroom house. Went the very next day, the next business day, and filed for divorce. I went to a bar because I wanted to drink, to drown my sorrows. And I was in the bathroom. Bathroom was right by the back door. And I heard this woman yelling, "Get the fuck out of here. And if you don't leave, I'm going to beat your ass." So, gotta save this woman. So I cut it off midstream. I come out of the bathroom, and there is this woman, 5'2", 110 pounds soaking wet, in clear heels and lingerie, because that was the type of bar that it was. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Yes, just this stupid dumb fuck wouldn't take no for an answer." So I opened the back door, and there's a guy my size there and two of his friends. And I'm like, that is so embarrassing that your friends just saw you get kicked out of the bar by a little tiny woman in clear heels and lingerie. So I was like, "Ma'am, are you single?" She goes, "Yes, but I've got 2 kids." And I'm like, "That doesn't matter. I want to buy you dinner." And we hit it off, and a year later, we got married. We were married for 8 years till she died in my arms. She had a bunch of health problems, and one day was her last day. And what was funny is all my friends were like, "Bro, how did you start dating a stripper?" And I'm like, "You want to know the my secret? I just asked her out like a gentleman. No game, no anything. I asked her out like a gentleman." When the bar closed and we got in my truck, I opened the door for her. My truck was clean on the inside. We went to a Denny's type place. We ate. I drove her home. I walked her to a door like a gentleman. I just think it's funny. But yeah, she had 2 kids. A boy named William, 11 years old, and a girl named Zena, 10 years old. I don't really talk to William, but he did follow in my footsteps by him getting with a woman that had 2 kids. So he's following in my footsteps. My daughter, we got married in a bar. Me and my late wife Laurel got married in a bar. Not in the bar that she worked in, but in a different bar. Had a pastor come in, married us right there. We were legally married in a bar.
It was a $2, not a $20 challenge, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
And I'm sitting there after we said our I do's, having a drink with 2 very Italian from Jersey, like Sopranos type guys. We're sitting there having a drink. My daughter was like 4 feet tall, maybe 70 pounds soaking wet. Had her little dress on and everything. Comes up to me and she goes, "So what do I call you now? Dad, stepdad, Mike, what?" And I'm like, "You can call me whatever you want." She hugged me and said, "I will call you Dad from now on." And like what the Grinch happened, heart grew 3 sizes bigger because the amount of courage it took that girl to walk up with me sitting there talking to John and Big Mike. John's like 7 feet tall, like 400 pounds. Big old, like mobster like guy. Well, Big Mike, he's like 6'8", like probably 500 pounds. Big old dude with the rings on the fingers, cigar hanging out of his mouth. The amount of courage it took her to walk up and ask me that, knowing that my 2 closest friends are right there.
Chris K super chatted $4.99. Been away for a little bit due to travel.
And now, well, along with the story, my son William got with a girl named Amanda. Amanda had 2 daughters, Brooklyn and Bailey. Well, several years ago, their only grandpa died. He had bad kidneys, so their grandpa died. They were over in my daughter's place. I show up over there. We get to talking and stuff, and they asked me if I would be their grandpa now because they don't have one. And I was like, of course. And of course, a lot of tears were shed and everything. So now I have 5 granddaughters: Brooklyn, Bailey, Willow, Renly, and Maisie.
Dad bods deserve better.
5 beautiful granddaughters. And of course, the funny thing is, yeah, my wife was, I think she was 42. She was older than me. Yeah, the funny part is my wife is like, "I'm not a grandma." And she hates it when she gets called grandma. Even my wife's mom that lives back in Ohio says, "You married a grandpa. That makes you grandma." Yeah, my wife spoils them. Like my granddaughter Renly, a couple years ago, was all into unicorns. So what did my wife do? On her day off for like a month, she drove to every thrift store in the whole Phoenix area and bought every unicorn that she could find. went to Party City and got a great big bag. Showed up at my daughter's place and gave this probably 100-pound bag of unicorns to my granddaughter. When my granddaughter opened that bag up and seen it was full of every unicorn that you could ever think of, the squeal that came out of that little girl's mouth and the sheer terror that I saw on my daughter's eyes. And now we still have to go and get it, but my granddaughter Brinley, she turned 6 this July. She wants a cash register grocery store type thing. I found one for like $50 at Walmart. Comes with a little shopping cart, a little cash register, a little scanner, a whole bunch of groceries. So we're gonna get her that.
Guava Ball super chatted $5. I heard a federal judge in San Francisco has just ordered Israel to rebuild Iran's nuclear.
It's hard to think that she's 6 years old now. 6 years old. I was there the day she was born. And I would have been there the day my newest granddaughter, Maisie, was born. But by the time that I knew about it, she was already here. Because for whatever reason, my daughter can pop a kid out like that. Boop. I know I did. And people look at us like we're the most oddest couple ever. You got this pale, pasty faced, fat white guy that's married to this 5'10" big black woman. But we just mesh. And every time you've seen us on video, like driving somewhere, that's how we are. We don't argue. I think we've had like 3 arguments our whole marriage. We've been married for 10 years. We celebrated our wedding anniversary at a retro Taco Bell. Got all dressed up. Went to a retro Taco Bell and ate tacos for our wedding anniversary. And I'm glad that we did because that retro Taco Bell is closed now. Exactly. And I've had people ask me like, you've been married 4 times. Been with I don't know how many different women. How? And I'm like, I just asked them out. And most of the time, like with my current wife, he asked me out. I was on some online dating site and she saw a picture of me and what she saw in the picture she obviously liked. And we got married on leap year. Yeah, this will make you think she's even more of a badass woman. She's been a nurse her whole life. Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. My PC crashed. But anyway, my wife is getting tired of being a nurse. She's reaching that burnout point. So she got a job, her second job in Phoenix is a security guard, like full on uniform, the boots, the radio, everything. Full on security guard. She basically guards a vacant building.
Cheers.
Which the first time my neighbor saw her in all of her gear, it was cold out. So she had the black coat on that said security on it. He was all like, "Bro, your wife just got even more scarier," and I just laughed.
Those are fids.
Oh God!
Thank you very much, Portland, Andy.
So can everybody hear me? Is everything good?
Yep.
Look at all that destruction there in Portland. That's what these people want. Can anybody hear me? Look at that. That's disgusting.
I know we're watching the ice right now.
That's what these liberals want.
What's going on?
They want their area totally trashed. Yeah, one of the things about my wife is we didn't actually have a first date. I went and picked her up after work, and we came back to my place, and let's just say we got to know each other really good. So anyway, the next weekend we were going to go out on a date. And well, our date ended up me being in the hospital having a heart attack. And I told her as I'm laying there in the emergency room with all the wires and everything hooked up on me that this is how my life's going to be. And if you can't handle this, you can leave right now. No hard feelings. And she flat out said, I'm not going anywhere. Look at all the trash there in Portland. It's like, come on. Test, test. Okay, everything's working. I don't know why my computer does that every now and then. It'll run good for hours, and then it'll just crash and restart. Look at that, windows broken out, bullet holes, trash everywhere. But that's how everybody wants to live. Portland.
Am I next to it? No, I'm not next to it. It'd be like 20 minutes to get there. Is that Wheels and number 3?
But I swear I can't wait to move. It took our apartment complex over a week to fix our kitchen faucet. It's been over 3 weeks without a washing machine.
Oh, shit, wrong button.
Yeah, we definitely got us the front door, good buddy. Mercy sakes alive, looks like we got us a convoy.
Who the hell's playing Convoy?
What is this made out of? You set me up for failure. What is this? I got set up. You fucking cheaters.
Right? Right up in the nose. That's honest to God, like the feeling. It's like bad cocaine. Not that I know. Not that I know.
I mean, if there were actually shots fired at the ice facility, I think they would take it way more aggressive than they are. I don't know for a fact.
I mean, look how disgusting Portland is. It's like, my God. Oh, I'm going to stand there in Denver and flip off the police officers.
Guava Ball super chatted $5. Imagine all the eyebrow pencils that were sacrificed for these protests.
Thank you, Guava Ball.
All the eyebrow pencils. Holy shit, I've been live for almost 3 hours. You know the one thing that I hope
There's the bubbles.
our new apartment has,
Hot dog man.
and that's actually insulation in the walls. Since it reached over 100 here, our air conditioner pretty much doesn't shut off, and it's set at 80 degrees. If we set it any lower, it will not shut off. And once it gets over 110, we have to raise it up to about 84. I think that's probably why my PC crashed. Let's see what the temperatures are looking like. Oh, she's a little warm, but not bad. I use this temperature monitoring app called Specky. SPECCY.
Membership. Gifted membership.
It's got all the temperatures and everything on it. Hmm. Like I don't know what they think that they're accomplishing. Like we're gonna stand here and yell at a armed person. Now tell me how that makes any damn sense. We're gonna stand here and yell at a person that's armed. And the person in the corner right there wearing a stupid purge mask. It's like, really, bro? You're on the wrong side of history. Oh, yeah, whatever. No, you guys are on the wrong side of history. Because in 20 years, when it's in history books in school, these protesters are going to be on the wrong side of history.
Maybe, Tim, maybe.
Hmm.
We do a shit! We are citizens of this country! We pay for what we made it for! That's fucking God! And you have a fucking tyrant!
You know what I'd do if I was Trump? I'd line up the military, the National Guard, right up the border between California, Oregon, and Seattle from the rest of the country, and just let these idiots protest.
They got laser-proof goggles. Look at them.
Take all the cops out. Be all like, here, do what you want to do. Take ICE out, take everybody out. Then in 6 months, when it turns into, the American version of the Gaza Strip, then send the military in to clean it all up.
You guys are insane.
And the only company that's making any money out of all this is the company that sells the megaphones. The Pyle Audio Company. Pyle Audio Company. Because they're the ones that sell all these megaphones. Oh, swinging a skateboard around a officer. Really smart. Really smart, dumbasses.
Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me.
Formation's all fucked up. You're leaving this guy by himself.
So sad.
Will do, JD. I will torture your ass up.
I wonder what Lincoln Riley's mom thinks of all this. I wonder what anybody's parents
What are they doing
or
in
family
Chicago? Climbing poles?
or family members of people that have had their lives ended by illegals, what they think of all this.
Hey, Whataburger, bring back the Pico de Gallo burger, and I'll bring back 3 of my table tents. Okay, deal.
Whataburger sucks. In-N-Out Burger sucks.
True that, Will. True that.
Okay, here's something to think about, everyone. So, and I saw this in a video. The guy was just talking about all the burgers that McDonald's sells every day. And it made me think of even more. We have all this meat that not only restaurants sell, like, say, beef. We got fast food places, we got mom and pop restaurants, we got steak places that sell beef, whether it be hamburgers, steaks, everything. We got all these grocery stores that are all full of steaks, burgers, all that stuff. Where do we get all that meat from? Because even if you just drop it down to hamburgers and say the average cow can give us 1,000 hamburgers. The average cow, 1,000 hamburgers. Well, where do we get all this meat from? Because I've been all over this great nation, and I've seen humongous dairy farms, but not like humongous farms, raising cows for a slaughter. Or if you think about pork, you go into the store, you see racks full of pork chops, you see racks full of bacon. Where does all the bit come from? Because I don't see humongous pig farms everywhere.
We're still shooting.
That guy in the mask is a dumbass. I bet he just thinks he's hot shit. Not talking to the camera, not anything. Just got a stupid little mask on. All right, everyone. In a few more minutes, I'm gonna stop the live stream. Been nice talking to everybody, especially Olivia. But in a few more minutes, I've been live for 5 hours. Did 2 hours prior, now 3 hours. I need to go get me something to eat and take a shower.
Are you not entertained? Hook buck?
Hmm.
Fucking t-shirt right there. Whoop bop spray. A lot of pictures. I'm denim. Bro, I got a huge tree. You want to see it? Venmo, I do. Just don't know what it is. No problem, Mad Molly.
Hmm.
Stuff today.
Hmm.
Thank you for the $10 super sticker, Sean Foster. Muchas gracias for your support. Thank you, Christopher, for being a member. Social was calm. That's good.
Oh, I just heard somebody singing the Prince song Purple Rain. I saw this video on TikTok, and it was of a country singer, like a well-known one, that sung Purple Rain. And it's like,
Amy Pike for the super sticker over there on YouTube. I do appreciate it.
that
Muchas
that
gracias.
was freaking awesome.
Informant for who? Hell yeah. Informant. Dib-a-dib-a-dub up the tail. Electrical show.
Oh, all cops are fascists, except when somebody's breaking into your house and you need a cop. Gotta love idiots. You're a fascist cop. Why? Because they're doing their job. Especially when a woman screams that. Because I'm sure if there was no cops, no law, you wouldn't like it very much because some stuff could happen to you and you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I know KKK is Democrats, everybody. All right, everybody. So I just hit the 3-hour mark. So I'm going to end the stream. So thanks for hanging out. My eyes are hurting and I'm hungry. So peace out, everybody. Have a great night. If something really starts popping off, I might jump back on. So